Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the last meeting of the Corrales Village Council for 2025. Please put your phones on vibrate or turn them off. And then once you've done that, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Councilor Miera.
Here.
Councilor Woolman.
Here.
Councilor Knight.
Here.
Councilor Alsobrook.
Here.
Councilor Burkett.
Here.
And Councilor Murray.
Here.
Okay, everybody's here. I need a motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Yes, sir, Councilor.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to amend the agenda by removing item D from the agenda.
You have a second?
E?
Remove
E.
D. D is in dog. Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. And can you tell us more? Councilor Woolman? Can you
Mayor,
give us
it's,
more story?
Seems to me that we're only 2 weeks away from a new administration, and I think it's fair that we allow the new mayor to start his selection process for the commissions and committees and so forth. So that's my main reason.
Well, there is a bit of a problem in some of these, in one of these especially, because there's a quorum issue. But Councilor Alsobrook, you were going to say something?
Thank you, Mayor. I wasn't sure when appropriate time for these prepared remarks to be, but I think now is appropriate. So over the past week, the council's received over a dozen emails, all requesting that committee appointments on tonight's agenda be deferred into the term of the next administration, as we heard Councilor Murray's motion. All of these emails referred to an appearance of impropriety based on timing, and some implied some more nefarious motivations. So I want to take this opportunity to remind us all of some very basic civics lessons. As we've heard and discussed in this chamber, among this council, many times, we are first and foremost a nation of laws. Our processes are what preserve and protect our rights to participate in our own governance. If change in a process is desired, we have mechanisms to consider and implement or reject those proposed changes, and that includes debate and discourse. The elected offices of our village have New Mexico's Constitution and statutes as the source of our authorities. Each one of us is elected to serve a set term of office, with removal from office prior to that term's end being a very high bar. Mayor Fahey's term ends at the swearing in of Mayor-elect Fred Hashimoto. Until that point, Dr. Fahey retains his full authority as mayor of Corrales, and Dr. Hashimoto has no authority over village matters. If our method of appointment to committees is unsatisfactory, I'm fully open to having these discussions, but I will not discuss a usurpation of our existing process because it serves political desires of the moment. That kind of thinking and that kind of tactic is one of the reasons that our federal government is in a shambles right now. Corrales is better than that, and Corleños are better than that. So we can discuss concerns about individual nominees, always happy to do that. But I flatly reject out of hand any consideration that Mayor Fahey should not have his committee nominees brought on this agenda. And I fully expect the same consideration will be given to Mayor-elect Hashimoto at the conclusion of his term.
Councilor Knight.
Thank you, Mayor. I've also received a few emails about tonight's meeting. I usually respond to the senders, but I knew most of you would probably be here, so I wanted to wait till tonight. I appreciate taking time out of your busy schedules to write your concerns to the counselors, who work very hard to take care of this village. In the past, when I've experienced people leaving for retirement or different positions, 100% of them worked or wanted to leave their assignments completed and finished, so the next person taking on the job wouldn't have any loose ends to tie. I see that 3 positions for various boards and commissions are up for approval tonight. All 3 of these Coraleños are qualified for the positions they seek. The library board appointee is Janice Teal. She has her master's degree in library sciences. She also has a master's degree in teaching. She was a medical librarian at UNMH, and she volunteers at the Corellis Library already. Stephen Smith would like to be appointed to farmland preservation. He has 50 years of experience on agricultural and water resources as an engineer. Sandy Rasmussen wants to be on P&Z. On her application, she said applicants need to abide by the ordinances. And some ordinances that need to be reviewed need to go before the council. I don't see any mayor that wouldn't want these 3 people serving on boards that they're asking to be on. They are all very qualified for these boards. In the emails that I received, there were inferences made that something was wrong about appointing these residents. I had words like out of order, non-transparent, optics aren't quite right, blatant political retribution, not sincere. These words were used on my emails. We all know there's a new mayor that was elected, Fred Hashimoto. We are all behind him and want him to be successful. But I'm sure the outgoing mayor wants him to be successful too, and to continue making Corrales a great place to live. Looking at our country and our village, I hope that qualified people are always placed on important boards and commissions. I hope that these 3 people, will be nominated and appointed tonight. I hope that non-qualified people who think loyalty to a person is more important than following the ordinances, that it never happens. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor Counselor Burkett would like to say something as well.
Zach?
Just double click.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor. I would just like to add to those comments. If we are going to remove items from the agenda that in any way represent the mayor's opinion, which regardless of who you voted for, I would find it difficult to find anyone who could say that he did not serve this community well for, I mean, it's probably been 16, 20 years now. Then I don't even know why we're going to have a meeting tonight, because he's the tiebreaker on every decision we make tonight. So let's just do the Coraleños Forum, do the minutes, and call it a night if we want to get rid of the democracy and the process that we have in place. It is absolute nonsense for people to say that we should not be able to make these decisions and vote on these decisions. He's not making the decisions. We're voting on them. So to stall that process because of sour grapes is silly.
Councilor Woolman, did you want to say something? Councilor Miera?
No.
Councilor Murray, do you want to say something else?
No.
So we're ready to vote?
So can you review what we're voting on right now?
We're voting on D of the agenda, approval of appointments to not, well, the motion was made to take it off.
Right.
And if you vote against the motion, then it stays. Okay, so if you vote no, the motion, the D stays. If you vote yes, then you're with Councilor Murray's motion. Councilor Murray, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilor Alsobrook?
No.
Councilor Knight?
No.
Councilor Woolman?
No.
Councilor Miera?
No.
Councilor Burkett?
No.
Okay. So now we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Oh.
opposed?
No.
Okay. One, are you opposed?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, we'll move on now to the appointments. First is Janice Teal, as was pointed out, to the appointment to the Corrales Library Board, who has a huge background in, library science. Ms. Teal, are you here? Oh, would you like to come up? The council might like to see who you are. They haven't had the opportunity that I had.
Yes, and I didn't.
Mayor Fahey last Wednesday. at the
Yes,
library.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We got that. I got that book. So does anybody have any questions of Ms. Teal? Well, yes, sir. Councilor Alsopro.
No question, just a remark. I appreciate your experience.
Thank you.
I cut my teeth in my scientific and biomedical career working as a page in a medical library in a large county hospital. So I appreciate your experience.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you for coming, because I know this can be sort of intimidating the very first time you ever show up.
How did you know that?
Well, I had a first day too,
Yes.
I know
guess
it's hard to
you-
believe.
Yeah.
It's been so long, but
Mayor,
yes, sir.
just one quick question, if I could. Again, thank you very much for stepping up and volunteering and all your background is terrific. I do have a question. Libraries are in the news, much more so than they should be. And just wondering about your position on some of the things we've been hearing about in terms of banning books and looking at specific titles and groupings. How you feel about that, or do you feel should be more open and accepting?
Well, I'll stand with the American Library Association, and I believe that people need access to information and they need access to entertainment and they need access for their own personal growth. And so I am in favor of people being able to access the materials. that they
And
want.
make their own decisions.
Correct.
Yes, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, yes,
Do these separate.
who's next?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Mira.
I just wanted to tell you that I'm voting on I saw your resume and I'm voting on your resume.
Mhm.
So, and it seems to have something that I'm glad that the counselor brought up, because there's going to be some troubled times, I can imagine.
I imagine.
And so, and they'll be pushed from all over the place, and we hold you, as I think we should, to what you stated tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we need a motion to approve Ms. Teal.
So move.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Ms. Teal, thank you very much
Thank you,
for offering yourself up.
Mayor. Mistake.
It's not that bad, really. It's not that bad. So next is Sandy Rasmussen, appointment to Planning and Zoning Commission. The reason, this is a big deal because they've had issues with quorums, not having quorums, and so we need to fill that seat quickly.
Well, Heather,
Sandy, here's Sandy.
uh,
Would you like to come up and let them take a couple of shots? Yes, absolutely, because we don't all know who you are.
I know, no, and
He's actually my neighbor.
I know. He puts up with my horse manure. Probably other manure too. So no, I wanted to do this because you know that this is my community and I'm very dedicated to my community. And I thought about doing this earlier, but it's a long-term commitment. I thought I'd practice on this short term and either I do well and maybe Mr. Hashimoto will even put me on if I want to stay, or I will know this wasn't the place for me. But this commission is all about the ordinances and I can't change anything. That isn't why I'm here. I'm to make sure that we keep what we have.
Any other questions, Councilor Murray?
Thank you, Mayor. So, Ms. Rasmussen, you understand that this is really takes a lot of time.
Yes.
The review of any packet, it requires, some of it is pretty technical. Are you up for that?
I am.
Are you aware of the meets and bounds, and have you read the chapters, chapter 18?
I was on the revision of chapter 18, so I have read it. Yes, I'm
Okay.
sure I could study up on it. I'm not saying that I've got it down memorized in my sleep.
Well, but how
proud
do you
of that.
feel about the current?
Careful. No litmus test.
No.
No litmus.
All right, very well. I'm just curious about how your feeling is about, well, it's not a litmus test, but it is about the plan that we just recently passed for the community and how you feel about, how that fits into the planning and zoning.
Which,
Well, the comprehensive plan is basically.
oh, it needs to follow it.
All right.
I'm all for the comprehensive plan.
How do you feel about, if you see problems about adjustments to the ordinances and so forth?
What do you mean, do I see?
Well, I mean, if you're on the board and you see what you think is a problem, are you willing to submit language to the Planning and Zoning Commission and for review, and then maybe pass up to council for
If there was something that didn't go with the comprehensive plan or didn't go with other ordinance verbiage, sure, but I only got like 5 months, so I can't change the world story.
okay.
Counselor Alsobrooke.
Thank you. This is actually, thank you, Sandy, for those answers. This question actually isn't for Sandy, it's for Mr. Audio.
Mr. Audio, would you?
My question, sir, is there any view in which Sandy's role in Main Street as a contractor to the village is in conflict of interest oh, you no longer have a role?
No, I don't.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah,
All right, So
I retired 4 years ago.
So being on the board of Main Street, is that in any way a conflict of interest for being on a Planning and Zoning Commission?
So most likely, it always depends on the facts, and lawyers love to say
This is a
depends,
hypothetical.
but it's true. If there's a direct application by Main Street for some action, that perhaps would be pose a conflict of interest. And I always recommend that any board member reach out to me or somebody on my team to discuss it, to see if they should disclose it and then offer to recuse themselves if they think it's a conflict.
Great.
And I would,
That's,
because
I'm sure you would. Thank you.
because I'm an honest person.
Thank you, Mayor.
Anyone else? Zach, do you have a question?
I have many, many questions, but none related to this particular issue.
That's actually a good thing that you have lots of questions. Okay. How do you vote, Counselor Mira?
We need a motion, right?
Oh, sorry.
Can I
Thank
sit
you.
down now?
You can sit down, yes. I need a motion to approve Sandy, please.
Mayor, move that we approve Sandy Rasmussen for appointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Do we have a second? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Stephen Smith. Mr. Smith, here you are.
Yes, sir.
So
be here.
Well, we're pleased to have you here. This is a big deal here in the village of Corrales, this Farmland Preservation and Agricultural Commission, especially now. We're moving forward on some issues related to water and land. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Smith? Yes,
I
ma'am.
can ask him a question. Hi, Mr. Smith.
Hi.
Yeah, you said on your resume that you worked probably around 50 years as an engineer. Who was that with?
With my own companies and with my own canal companies, and for Colorado State University in balance in those 3 areas.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. You can go ahead and sit down. Appreciate you coming. Appreciate you applying for this. Okay, I need a motion to approve Mr. Smith.
So moved.
Second. So we have a motion and a second for Mr. Smith. Counselor Mira, how do you vote?
Yes, sir.
Counselor Woolman?
Aye.
Counselor Knight?
Aye.
Counselor Alsobrooke?
Aye.
Counselor Burkett?
Aye.
And Counselor Murray?
Aye.
Very good. Okay. Mr. Smith, welcome to the Farmland Preservation and Agricultural Commission. Okay, so now we have a presentation from the Corrales Historical Society, who I guess will provide us more of an update on the old church renovation and provide some appreciation to the village administration for what was done, although you guys did all the work. You and Tanya.
Yes, we and Tanya.
Yes. Well, she's right over there.
So thank you so much for inviting me to come tonight. I just want to say, before I get started on my own presentation, I'm an archivist and I am a sister professional to this librarian, and I totally support open libraries and open access to everything.
We're sure glad.
Hmm?
We're sure glad you do. I do too. I think it's a good thing.
So I was telling Melanie earlier that when I was in my earlier career, I went to a presentation one time when technology wasn't quite what it is today. And I was so impressed with this presentation. This guy was doing a PowerPoint presentation, and every time he wanted to change the slide, he went like this. and the slide changed and I was like, it's magic. But he actually had a student sitting who was supposed to advance his slide. So tonight, I'm not going to snap my fingers. I'm just going to say next slide, please. So thank you so much for inviting me to come. So during, we can go to the first slide. So during our annual meeting of the Corrales Historical Society last month, I gave an overview for our membership about the work that we did on the old church this last summer. And council members Murray and Knight were both in attendance and asked if I could reprise that report for the council so that everybody could hear this kind of very happy story. So I'm here to tell a happy story tonight. Let's go to the next slide, please. I thought maybe it would be useful just for me to do a quick chronology of what happened over the summer. Some of you are pretty aware of this, but some of you might not be. So in 2022, we began to look into what it would take to replaster the entire interior of the church. And we received some preliminary estimates in the about $130,000 range. So in 2023, our then president, Ken Martinez, after being hit by a falling piece of plaster, decided to submit a funding request for $160,000 to be included in the village infrastructure capital improvement plan. Ken lobbied our state legislators, Representative Kathleen Cates and then Senator Brenda McKenna, and together they were able to secure $275,000 for the project. That was almost twice as much as we thought we were going to have. So we were very confident and excited that we could go ahead with this project. So working with Tanya Latin, the deputy fire chief, proposals were sent out and received to begin the project starting in the summer of 2025. Weiser Electric Company was selected as the general contractor, and Crocker Limited was the subcontractor hired to do the plastering work in the church. The project started on June 23rd, and shortly after the first walls were stripped of their current layers of mud, it was clear that the damage to the underlying walls was much more extensive than we had anticipated. The project was paused, and we requested cost estimates for what it would take to finish the whole work, the whole job. We were rather panicked at that point because they were going to stop work after 2 walls had already been taken down. And so Tanya tried to assuage our fears. Thank you, Tanya. And when we got an estimate back, it came in at $200,000 more to complete the project on our schedule. So, okay, we jumped into fundraising mode and we started a fundraising campaign. And then we also came to the July council meeting, and a request had been submitted to the village to have the administration give us the money that we would need to do the project. And at that meeting, the entire council and administration unanimously approved $200,000. So we were extremely grateful. But we did decide we should continue our fundraising efforts because there would probably be other contingencies and additional improvements that we would want to do. So next slide, please. So this is an image of one of the walls that we had already been monitoring, and the little white strips that you can see in the picture were put there to monitor how much the growth in the cracks was expanding over time. So that's just one little problem we were looking at. The next slide, please. So I wanted to tell you what we actually accomplished in this project. The walls of the interior of the church were completely replastered. All of the old mudding was removed. The holes in all the gaps were repaired. There was new plaster put in place throughout the entire church. We also were able to put in a new heating and air conditioning system, which was a big deal because the church has never been able to be used in the summertime. So we were closed for 3 months of the year, and now we're going to be able to do programming in the church for the entire year. So that's a big deal. We also, one of the other problems they discovered when they started to open the walls and look at the electrical system was that the electrical system was completely toast. They were like, you are really lucky that you didn't have a fire burn the church down at this point. So we had to put in all new electrical wiring throughout the church. And we had to, and then once they started working on the walls, we realized that we're gonna have to do more work on the floors as well, because what they discovered was that over the years, the plaster had been applied and reapplied, and so in places it was like 4 inches thick. In other places it was 8 inches thick. So when they took all that off, the floor was not flush to the wall anymore, so we had to replace, we had to, do some patching on the floor. We also were able to install Wi-Fi through the church. We had not ever had that before, and that's a big plus for all of our vendors who use the church and other people who are there and would like to use their phones in the church. So, and in addition, we were able to replace all of the sound cables. So I'm just going to run through the few next slides fairly quickly. I just wanted to show you some of the pictures. I don't know how many of you were able to see the church when it was under renovation, but some of these slides show you some of the cracks and the holes in the walls, the way they had to shore up some of the adobe bricks. This is just to give you a sense of how extensive this work actually was. It was a pretty impressive project. That's showing you some of the electrical wiring there. Okay, so I thought it would be interesting for you to hear a little bit more about our fundraising. Went through those slides quickly. So I mentioned earlier, we initially had some funding from the state, $275,000. When we learned that we were not going to be able to do our project for that amount of money, the board of the Corrales Historical Society unanimously approved using what we call our ROC fund. ROC stands for Restore the Old Church Kindly. And we had built up a fund of about $35,000. So we immediately said we're throwing all that money into this project. And then we formed a fundraising committee using our marketing team and our treasurer, our vice president, Ed Bowles, our chair of Ways and Means, Frank Seitel, and Tanya Latin joined that group with us. She was our cheerleader through this whole project. She was like, oh, we're gonna raise this money. We're gonna have t-shirts, we can sell dirt, whatever. And Angela Gutierrez and Jesse Penrod from Main Street also helped us out with our fundraising. So, slide please. And this was our thank you note to the village. We just had an outpouring of support from individuals and everybody in the village. So I would like to say, in addition to the $200,000 that the council allocated to us, our friends donated. We raised over $120,000 in our fundraising campaign. So, yay! So I have a lot of thank yous. I want to go ahead. Just first, I really want to give a big shout out to Tanya. She was amazing. The first board meeting she came to, and everybody was looking very grim and frightened. $200,000 is a lot of money, and she's like, you really shouldn't worry until I look worried. And I found that very reassuring. I also really want to thank everybody here tonight, our village administration, Mayor Fahey, Ron Curry, our village administrator, all these council members were so supportive, and we are so grateful for all of that. Our fundraising committee was awesome. Our contractors were really amazing. Ye Rogers, who with Weiser Corporation is just a very amazing contractor. Super good. And Jess Crocker from Crocker Limited was the subcontractor who did all the plastering. They specialize in doing historical restoration of old buildings, and they had done all the plastering on the outside of the church as well. So we're really lucky to get them. We had over 200 individual donors to our fundraising campaign. Several of the organizations in Corrales really stepped up. Music in Corrales raised, they donated $10,000 on their own, and they had a challenge campaign, and they raised another $10,000 for that. So that was really very generous. Corrales Main Street was awesome. The Kiwanis Club gave us a generous donation, and the Historic Albuquerque Inc. gave us a very nice donation as well. So the only other, I just want to also say that we really had to give a big shout out to the neighbors of the old church. There were a lot of glitches in this project, and anybody who's lived next door to a construction project knows how disruptive that can be. And it was a very difficult time for some of them. I mean, our alarm system kept going off, and we finally got that straightened out, but our neighbors were extremely generous and very, very forgiving. So I just have one more last thing. This isn't a slide. You can just stop this, but there's one more thing I wanted to read into the record, and it's a document called TLC. And TLC has multiple meanings. It's short for tender loving care. There's a TLC plumbing and heating company, but for us at the Corrales Historical Society in 2025, TLC stands for Tanya Latins Corrales.
We agree.
Hmm?
We agree.
Yeah. Tanya Latin is the deputy commander of the Corrales Fire Department and so much more. Tanya Latin's Corrales is a place that she inhabits, inspires, and if need be, injects with vaccines. She's all in for Corrales, whether fighting fire, guarding public health, or managing a tricky project on the old church. That renovation project this summer seemed simple enough to start. A $275,000 budget and 2 months of work. But it became a race to find a lot of money and finish a schedule after about 2 weeks of delay. The Corrales Historical Society thanks and salutes Tanya Latin for her dedication to the old church and navigating this summer's interior plaster, electrical, heating, and cooling installation. Send the project on track through the stop order, fundraising, and eventual change orders to get it done in time for that wedding that happened that first week in September. She made what was very difficult look easy, and she was so easy to work with. It's good to live in Tanya Latin's Corrales. So,
Any questions? Councilor Wolf?
One quick question. First of all, I'm glad you were able to get that wedding taken care of. But second, you worked all summer to raise funds dedicated to restoring the church. Is there anything left in your pot of money for fundraising
Yes.
going forward?
Yes,
Good, okay.
we were able to replenish the rock fund and a little bit more, and there are still a few details that are not finished yet, but we're getting there.
Great.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. Thanks for all your hard work.
Thank you.
I have a quick question to make.
Oh, Councilor,
You know, it just amazed me that all this work was done in such a short amount of
Yeah.
time. It just blows me away. Can you tell me when you started and when it was finished?
We started on July 23rd. We had about 2 days notice that they were gonna start then. We had to empty the church of everything, so we had a crew of volunteers that showed up and moved everything out of the church. And they started like 2 days later tearing the mud down. And then we had a hiatus for about 2 weeks because we weren't sure how we were gonna fund, the rest of the work.
It's a good thing they did.
And then when we realized we were gonna have the money, they got back to work and they finished on September 3rd. There was a wedding on September 6th. It was a very nervous bride and her mother.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
anyone else? And thank you very much. So I guess we're going to hear from TLC again on Salsa Park.
TLC.
Your team. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Did you want to say anything? Okay, great. So we are members of the Salsi Park supporters team. My name is Tara Trafton. I am a member of the Salsi family. I'll let the rest of the team members introduce themselves.
My name is Pamina Deutsch and I live on Upper Sagebrush, so in the neighborhood that Salsa Park would be.
My name is Joseph Ty and I also live off of Sagebrush, actually adjacent to the park.
Great, and we have a presentation, I think. We saw it a minute ago. Share. And I'll go to the top. There we go. Perfect. Excellent. So yeah, we're here to give you an update, just a little bit of background on the park. Next slide, please. A little bit of background on the park, as well as some update about a grant and some community outreach that we've been performing over the past few months. Next slide. So a little, again, background. So there you have Dulcelina, my great grandmother, and her sister Ida selling some fruit out of the back of a truck. And we can go to the next slide. A lot of folks, it turned out during the survey, weren't exactly sure where Salsi Park is. If you Google it, it doesn't show up. So this is just a little refresher of where it's located, which is at the intersection of Sagebrush and Calle Blanca in the Sagebrush neighborhood or Sagebrush subdivision. You have the north part of Salsi Park, which is out of the scope for this discussion, but that is currently a large retention area and for flood mitigation. And what we're here to discuss is really that south area and what can be done to make it a beautiful space for the community. Next slide. A little bit of history about the park. So back in the 1880s, my great-great-grandfather, Angelo Salsi, bought a tract of land ranging from the Rio Puerco to the Rio Grande, including what is today Salsi Park. In the 1980s, some of my family members worked with a developer to create Sagebrush subdivision. And as a provision to the development, it was specified that that land was dedicated for a park explicitly. In the 90s, the park was established as a soccer field. And for me, a kid who played soccer my whole life and was living in the neighborhood, I thought that was great. But for the rest of my neighbors, it caused a lot of noise and traffic and folks who were rushing to get to the park at a designated time because there was a practice or a game or whatever the case may be. It wasn't exactly ideal. And so maybe beneficially, maybe not, it flooded. That area flooded and the soccer fields were destroyed. So after that, the park just sort of fell into disrepair. And it's been like that for, a couple of decades now. So now it's essentially abandoned and a dumping grounds. Joseph said he saw somebody doing donuts out there this weekend. And so it's really not benefiting the community. It's certainly not being used as intended. And it's an asset that we're not really taking full advantage of as a community. So recently, again, Tanya, where'd she go? Helped us secure a grant to improve the park. So we as the family really want to see this happen. We'll get to it in a second, but there's still a lot of us in the community. The name has died, but the family has not. So here's a little bit of background on the family. Again, Angelo, he was an Italian immigrant, came over as a bootmaker or shoemaker into Albuquerque. His brother Luigi joined a little bit later on. And then eventually they convinced a brave woman to come across the ocean and meet a man she didn't know and, start a life here in Corrales farming and raising a family. And so there you can see there are 5 children who survived to adulthood. My great-grandmother, Dulcelina, her sisters, Ida and Lena, and then her brothers, Virgilio and Arthur. So in the village today, we still have the 3rd through the 6th generations present. These folks are the veterinarian, maybe your piano teacher, maybe your ballet instructor. They're active on Main Street. Historically, the folks who are pictured here, they also supported getting the PTA developed, built the first fire truck, served on village council, so the family has been and will continue to be active in the village and advocating for civic engagement and advancement for the village. So with that, I think, is there something, next slide? Yeah, so with that, I'll hand it off to the next person, but that's just a little bit of background about Salsi Park, where it came from, and that really the family would like to see something beneficial for everyone come out of it. Thank you.
So I'll be talking about this grant opportunity that we have currently and the community outreach that we've done to help the community have a role in designing the park. Next slide, please. The village was awarded a Land and Water Conservation Fund grant for the improvement of Salsa Park. The Phase 1 funding will be used for developing a new plan for the park based on the community input. The grant cannot be used solely for design and planning. Therefore, a walking path will also be installed during this first phase. The village will seek additional grant funding to support a Phase 2, which will add additional amenities based on the community-driven design. Next slide, please. In order to obtain some community input into the design, a survey was created and went live on October 24th. The team that has been working on this project shared the link broadly with the Salsa family, neighbors, the community at large. We attended the Halloween festival at Corrales Elementary and had flyers with a QR code where people could fill out the survey. And the PTA was also very helpful in disseminating the QR code and the survey information to its members. The survey closed on November 14th, and we were delighted that we had 170 responses. Next slide, please. Question 1 of the survey was, if this is or were your neighborhood, which of the following would be your greatest concerns? The top 5 answers were trash, 58%, traffic, parking, 55%, maintenance, 47%, noise, 44%, and loitering, 43%. Next slide, please. Question 2 was, what features would you most like to see included in Salsa Park? The top 5 answers were shade trees, 78%, shade structures, 64%, a walking path, 61%, picnic tables and gathering areas, 55%, and a children's play structure, 35%. Next slide, please. Question 3 was, when complete, how would you like to be able to describe the park? The top 5 answers, quiet and peaceful, 58%, shaded, 54%, nature-oriented, 52%, family-friendly, 46%, and simple, low maintenance, 40%. Next slide, please. Question 4 was, what one feature would make Salsa Park unique for Corrales residents? I'll give the results with at least 5 mentions. A dog park, an off-leash area. And I should mention that we're thinking of as a possible later phase of a dog park in the other area that Tara had shown on one of the first slides. So that would be that north parcel that has a fence around it already and would be very simple to make into a dog park. Number 2, shade trees, a green oasis feel, that was 10 mentions. And I should say that dog park had 15 mentions. Number 3, a quiet, peaceful park atmosphere, 10 mentions. Number 4, horse-friendly equestrian accommodations, 8 mentions. And while we're thinking that the park won't accommodate horses, we would have a hitching post because, of course, Corrales is a horse-friendly community. Number 5, neighborhood gathering or community space, 7 mentions. Number 6, walking paths and loop trails, 6 mentions. Number 7, art, sculpture, mural features, 6 mentions. Number 8, benches and seating areas, 5 mentions. And number 9, kids and family play features, 5 mentions. And now I will turn it over to Joe.
All right, thank you. I'll finish up the survey results and then turn it over to Tanya to kind of wrap things up. So question 5 was, how far do you live from Salsey Park? With over 65% of respondents reporting that they live within 1 mile of the park, and over 90% of the survey respondents reporting that they live in Corrales. You can see on the pie chart there that over 41.6% reported that they actually live within a half mile and earshot roughly of the park. So there was almost the majority of individuals who responded to the survey did report living close to the park and within the area. Question 6 was about household demographics. Nearly 70% of respondents reported that they are in adult-only households. The pie chart there on the right shows that 61% reported being older adult-only households, with 17.7% being adult-only ages 19 through 64, and then a smaller percentage of families with young children ages 0 to 12, and then family with older children ages 12 to 18 as well. Question 7 wrapped up the survey with really an opportunity to provide any final comments or concerns. I'll try to go through these briefly. Highlighting some of the common themes were a desire for a quiet, peaceful neighborhood park with no large sports complexes or noisy events, a strong interest in community gathering spaces for socializing, reading, or small group activities, a safe play area for children and families, including shaded playground equipment, a dedicated walking path and loop trails for all ages, dog-friendly areas with some favoring a dog park and others preferring leash-only dog walking, requests for shaded areas and landscaping with native plants or trees, a need for adequate safety measures, lighting concerns, traffic control, protection from vandalism, and law enforcement presence, suggestions for seating such as benches and picnic tables, calls for minimal maintenance needs with trash cans and regular repairs noted, interest in water features, drainage improvements or ponds, balanced with water conservation concerns, equestrian accommodations and access, supporting Corrales horse culture, desire for features that support community events and neighborhood connections while limiting disruptive noise, the importance of honoring the Salsey family's donation and history, accessibility for nearby residents, preference for walking rather than increased car traffic, and some requests for sports features, but many wanted to avoid attracting non-local event crowds. So in summary, the community felt and desires Salsey Park to be a peaceful, low maintenance and nature-oriented neighborhood space that provides shade, walking paths, gathering spots, and opportunities for quiet enjoyment and connection. Residents overwhelmingly wish for a park that balances the needs of families with children, older adults, and dog owners without fundamentally changing the character of their quiet surrounding neighborhood. The last piece of the survey was sent out with and received over 100 respondents. And that final question was, do you agree with the overall direction and priorities for Salsey Park's renovation? With 92% voting yes. I think for all of the Salsey Park supporters team, Pamina, Bill, Liz, myself, and Tara, we want to say thank you to everyone who participated in the survey. I'll say thank you to everyone who also volunteered in administering the survey at various events. I know there were a lot of people at the Growers Market, the Halloween Festival, Fall Festival, and other community events over the last few months who really got the word out about the survey. So thank you to everyone who participated and responded to the survey, as well as everyone who volunteered to administer the survey.
So with that, we will be submitting the final stuff for the grant. This grant is an interesting one. It is not a design grant. At least 50% of the money we get from them has to be used for construction in order to get the grant. That's why we're looking at the outside path and possibly a fence. I did get word that we can go up to 300,000 on the grant, even though we were originally awarded 203,000. We get to go up to 300,000, and there will be no match at all now for the village. They can match 150 to 150. So that's really good. When we talk about the walking trail and the fence, What will happen is we will still do a request for qualifications, a really good one with help from the team. I've got some really good input on what we need to look for. It is a federal grant, so it's going to have the federal requirements for the RFQ, and we will let the company, we want to go with a landscape architect, not with an engineer, a landscape architect. Yes, we will have to get engineering for grading and drainage and all that stuff, but we think the landscape architect should be the one that finds the engineer instead of the engineer finding the landscape architect. So it's truly a park, not an engineering project. We will tell them, hey, this is what we've got to put in. We'll have 3 years to complete it. Our maintenance department can do the walking path once they get it engineered. They have the roller, they have all the stuff. I checked with Steve. It's something that definitely with the plan, because we're not going up a hill. You know, we want it to, you can only do a 2% grade change for a path to be ADA compliant. So we'll get all that in architect done. There will be more public input, but what we give them has to go in. If we said we were going to put the Taj Mahal in the middle of this, we're not. We'd have to build that for land and get it designed, but we're not going to do that. It'll be a nice, simple, quiet park. And we're hoping that everyone's really, really happy with it. The surrounding neighbors seem to be happy. Any questions for the team?
Councilor Murray?
Thank you. So Tanya, what's the status of the well up there? I mean, we're going to have to put substantial resources into rehabilitating it?
I don't think so. There's still power there. We do want it to be a low maintenance park. So we really want to put stuff in that we know we're going to have to water when it first goes in, but we don't want it to be something, it's not going to be like the rec center where it's got to be irrigated every 2 days. My understanding from talking with Lynn is it's going to need the electrical wiring redone, and I'm hoping the pump's still good. We'll see.
So could that rehabilitation be used under the construction?
That would probably be phase 2.
Okay.
So we're looking at it. So one of the nice things about the Land and Water Conservation Fund is that if you get their first grant and you complete it and you do good and you file your reports and you use your money correctly, they give you extra points for your next year. So we're really hoping that when we get this first part done and the design will be way up there for the second phase, and the landscape architect and the engineer will be putting together full cost estimates of all the stuff. We are going to put in a child's play area. Found some really cool ones, but of course we're writing child's play area. I really want this, but we'll take it back out to the public and say, is this the play area you want? We won't just go, oh, we're getting this really cool one because we like it. But we do have to put a child's play area in.
Will it also support the Chief Martinez's fire suppression ideas?
We're looking at putting that on the other side. Correct, Chief? Yes.
I mean, on the north side?
On the north side.
Oh, okay.
He actually sent me some plans on that today.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Mira?
Oh, Chelsea,
They made me cry, by the way.
well, we didn't mean to make you, I just want to make you feel good. What he was talking about with the engineering, are you still thinking about using that great big container to hold the water?
So that other side still has to, oh, you mean to catch water? I don't know. I mean, because that's underground. I mean, that could be
Right.
something we have the design architect look at for storing water. However, New Mexico has some really strange rules about storing water and using it. It's supposed to go back into the ground. So that's a legal water question. And I've only learned that recently because I was like, let's build ponds and keep all our water. And like, you can't do that in New Mexico.
Interesting. Thank you.
Councilor Woolman?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank everybody on the team you put together. It's been amazing. The outreach you've done and the response you've gotten from the community has been terrific.
Yes.
So thank you very much for all your terrific work.
And we did hold 2 public meetings. One was at the library. We held one here December 4th that we also did via Zoom that had good attendance.
Good for you guys.
Thank you, guys. Okay, moving on. Absolutely great. The Administrator's report.
These guys are amazing.
Mr. Curry.
Well, at the risk of being redundant, Tanya.
This is not the fun part, though. Thank you, Mayor, Council, Administrator Curry. So we're going to give an update on illness. As you know, we're heading into the holiday season and we're getting cooler. We're still pretty warm in New Mexico, but as of 12/6, the last report that has been updated for New Mexico, all respiratory illnesses in New Mexico have increased by 0.45% in the last week, and the positivity rate for all illnesses is at 13.8%. The metro area respiratory illness is still considered minimal, but it is climbing. It is climbing in the village. We've been getting more sick calls. ED visits for all respiratory did drop by 0.25%, and were a total of 1.84% of all hospital visits were for respiratory illnesses. For COVID, we did have an increase of 0.84% for the last week, with a 7.14% positivity rate. Hospitalizations did drop, but remember, hospitalizations happen about a week to 2 weeks after illness. They dropped by 1.3%. New Mexico has had 152 people hospitalized during this respiratory season for COVID. And the running rate right now, since the respiratory season started October 1st and will run through the end of the flu season in 2026, which could be February, could be March, could be April. So right now we're doing 10 per 100,000 people. Last year's cumulative total for respiratory illness or for COVID was 122 per 100,000 people. So I'm hoping we keep it lower this year. COVID resulted in 0.95% of all ED visits. We've had 4 COVID adult deaths this year since October 1st in New Mexico. Albuquerque and Rio Rancho wastewater are increasing with COVID activity. Santa Fe is actually decreasing, but they had a huge spike. So now it's coming down. For influenza, we did have a decrease of 0.46% with a positivity rate of 6.2% currently, with roughly 4 out of 100,000 people. And the ED visits for that are under 1% at 8.6. We're actually below flu's baseline right now. The average where we're usually at, we're below, which is good. But we have had 22 pneumonia deaths this year since October 1st and 2 adult influenza deaths that were just attributed to influenza. RSV is still low, which is good because we know that really affects our young kids and our elderly. It is only at 0.38%, which is a small increase. And 0.03% of hospital visits have been for RSV. So that's really good. Wastewater for RSV in Bernalillo County and Santa Fe, the only 2 places looking at it as really flat for RSV. We are moving into the holiday season, so people are going to be traveling. So I did want to let you know that we have some states with high activity already. One of them is Colorado, and we did have a pediatric death in Colorado for flu this year so far. It's the first pediatric death of the year. Louisiana, New York, New Jersey are all considered high. And in the United States, flu is at 8.1%. It looks like it's increasing because I think it's Councilor Murray that usually wants to know. The flu variant right now has mainly been flu A, H3N2. And healthcare visits nationally are increasing and hospitalizations are increasing. Last week, we had 6,884 people admitted to the hospital in the United States. The mortality rate was 0.2%. The only other thing I did want to say is for 2025 so far this year, the CDC, now that it's back up and running, did say that there were 19,150 deaths related to COVID so far this year, which is down. It was over 47,000 last year. For the week ending of December 6th, there were 23,199 deaths in the United States. 74 of them were for pneumonia or flu, and at 1,264 were for COVID, for all deaths with respiratory. And the variants for COVID has been XGF since the end of June. However, This last variants that are showing up, we are getting some LF7 and some XDV showing up. So it may look, we may be doing a variant change right at the holidays.
Wait, what is the response to the vaccination right now? COVID vaccination?
It's low. It's in the packet. What is it? Anyone got their packet?
All right.
It's like
Yeah.
15-20% of for
Okay.
COVID and flu. It's not a lot, but I know I put it in the packet under the fire report.
Okay.
RSV though, for kids is actually almost 48%, which is good for the babies.
Good. Councilwoman.
Thank you, Mayor. Tanya, I heard on the radio over the weekend, there's a major outbreak of measles in South Carolina and perhaps a couple other states. Anything in this area?
No, New Mexico, New Mexico, when we had our measles outbreak, because we were the second highest only to Texas when the outbreak started. New Mexico did a really big vaccine push, and you can go to the website and it shows how many people went and got new vaccines and boosted their vaccines or got titers and vaccines. And we did a really big push. So I'm hoping that was enough. But yeah, people traveling this year, we could, for the holidays, we could easily see measles come back in.
Thank you.
So it's so contagious.
Council Murray.
Yeah, Tanya, so on page 27, you had a couple of tables. I'm just curious, is that for the state or for Sandoval County?
That is the state. So the state's no longer that. I really like that map where it showed us the Sandoval County. They've changed their reporting. They've added some really cool features if you go to their website. But Sandoval County, I'm not getting those specific updates anymore.
So I got an article I probably ought to send you about shingles shots. It might be curtailing dementia a little bit.
Yeah, no, I saw that, and it's a good shot, right, Chief?
Yeah.
He went and got it.
Yeah, well, I know it's a two-shot process, but anyway.
Yeah,
Anyway.
no, there's some really good stuff out about some of just vaccines boosting your immune system for what you're doing it, trying to prevent, but also boosting your immune system against other
Yeah.
things. But shingles makes sense. I'd love to see the article since we know that the herpes virus lays dormant on your nerves.
There's also a good article on 60 Minutes. They were talking about the expense of vaccines for specific rare medical issues. But what was interesting, though, I thought was the genetic side of it, where they're being able to take that and go in and make a fix and alter basically the virus itself and with dramatic results.
Science is amazing, and the amount of science growth that we're having is amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Because
Anyone else?
$3 million per shot.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Tanya. As I recall, the 60 Minutes, they were talking about those shots and they were in the millions of dollars.
$2.3 million for a shot.
Yeah, for one.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it
You only need one, right?
But it improved the results for this particular girl. I mean, this particular child.
Muscular dystrophy is a very bad disease, as is Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. They're both very bad diseases.
But I think I think there's a future for this, and hopefully they'll get the cost under control.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Now, we have Detective John Coleman is going to come up and follow up on a very compelling story. As you recall, the council funded John to go back to the Midwest last month. But Detective, thank you for coming here to tell this story. I think it's important for the community to hear this.
Absolutely. Council, Mayor.
Make sure you say it like please.
She said, please.
Said it loud.
But you can take it out and walk around with it if you want.
Okay. Thank you, council. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Administrator. This case has been going on for just about a year. I'm not going to share names right now. Myself and the other detective from the Sandoval County Sheriff's Department, we're going to do a media event at the end of January, just because we had so many working hands from different DNA services to the FBI to other local agencies. And because of this case, we were able to help other states with their cases as well. But to give a quick synopsis of this, a 19-year-old girl went missing. She was staying here in the Corrales area. At 19 years old, she disappeared. Her father, since that day till we took over this case, has spent every single day looking for her. When I say every day looking for her, that if he was driving down Central and saw a girl remotely close, he pulled his car over, got out, and ran to that person. and had a conversation just to confirm that it was not his dog. This case was actually started by Chief Mangi back in his earlier days, and he worked it to the bone. Everything that you can do. Missing person cases are very, very difficult, especially back in the earlier years. You know, Facebook and GPS and all of that stuff wasn't to the everyday person, wasn't easy as it is to find someone nowadays, as well as the DNA. DNA has taken leaps and bounds probably in the last 10 years alone. So when I took over the case, I was working my side of it. Detective Donald Tuning from the Sandoval County Sheriff's Department was actually working a case where they had found a female deceased up on US Highway 550 near San Ysidro. Unfortunately, the animals had gotten to most of her, so there wasn't much you could recognize. Detective Donald Tuning did an amazing job working his side of it with the DNA, getting all of DNA companies, finding the funding, and then working everything that he had. And we actually didn't know we were working on the same case until it was, what do you got going on? What do I have going on? We started sharing information, and unfortunately, because her body was so badly decomposed and unidentifiable, OMI had a very, very difficult decision to make. Is it this type of female or is it this type of female? So it kind of lay dormant for a while. Through Detective Tuning's abilities to run everything through DNA, he actually worked a lot of cold cases when he was a state police officer with the state of Pennsylvania. So, I mean, just hats off to the work that man can do. He was able to secure DNA through what was left of the deceased female. Through that, we were able to locate the father, who was still here in New Mexico. And it was, let's give it a shot. Let's see if you match. And with you guys with your medical backgrounds, DNA starts off at 0 and can go up to these points. And I'm not going to get into the details of it, but the closer you get to 3,000, the more you are a match. And our numbers between our victim and the father were very close to 3,000. Then we had more information that the victim's mother, grandparent, had family overseas, and it matched as well. So now we were 100% sure we had our victim completely identified and her father known. Over the next few months, we located 2 male subjects who were with our female for a long period of time. Unfortunately, an event took place here in Corrales, and she was deceased. Through multiple interviews with one individual here in Albuquerque, we were able to get information from him. I don't want to say confession, but that's basically what it was. From that point on, I presented to you guys, and you guys blessed us with the opportunity to send me and Detective Tuning to the state of Ohio, where we found our second subject. And we interviewed him in his living room, and we obtained the information we needed. Unfortunately, because of evidence from those days was lost, the case was sent over to the district attorney's office, and they declined to prosecute because of the charges we have, unfortunately, because of the evidence we have. Plus side of all this, we were able to attend our victim's funeral after 26 years. That individual's entire family, her father, everybody got to say their goodbyes. And without a doubt in our mind, this is who it is. And so are they convinced. Pictures of the family that it brought back together, that they hadn't seen each other in years because everybody had gone their separate ways. That was the goal. It would be great to get somebody in handcuffs, and it would be great to send somebody to prison, but we're just not there. But the goal is the father's got his rest now, and he is at great peace. I mean, he is beyond thankful for everything that we've done, that Detective Tuning has done, and the many hands that took place into this case. It was not even any part of what I've done, but of Detective Tuning, our DNA companies, the Albuquerque Police Department's intelligence unit, and other agencies that hundreds and hundreds of miles away into other states. Hey, can you go talk to this person for us? Because we can't just jump on a plane and go do that. Many people had their hands in this, and it came together very well. Any questions?
Any questions? Yes, sir.
I just want to say a job well done. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Mayor, just a little curious about the declination on prosecuting case. can you give some idea as to why? they-
Statute of limitations. How we talked about earlier, there's procedures and.
On a
things
murder
like that.
case?
Well, because of lack of evidence to go to that charge, you need to have your evidence in line. And if you're going to accuse someone of that, they have the ability to say, okay, show me. What you're saying I did it, show me. In a court of law, that's what it has to be. There's no anybody's opinion. It doesn't matter what you think. What do you know and what can you prove? And in this case, we can't. But we have the full story. And at the end of January, all of those details will be released at our media event. And it'll answer those questions for you.
Good, thank you.
John, thank you very much.
Absolutely, sir.
Yes, very enlightening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Chief Martinez. Going to talk about Applewood.
Mayor, Council, good evening. As you know, the budget you approved a couple years ago included a crossing at Applewood for an emergency access gate. We didn't have the opportunity to construct. Our current budget also included, to try to proceed with the crossing. Just a little background on this crossing and how it became available or came to our attention was it's a process that we call community risk reduction. So when I'm out in the community, I'm always looking for things that we can improve on that might be dangerous, whether it's Bosky and fuel reduction. We had a fire on Applewood back in June of 23. It was a difficult fire. The wind started to pick up. Not the immediate area was not just at risk, but the whole neighborhood was a threat. We had cars that couldn't get in and out. We had fire apparatus that couldn't get in and out. We had, fire trucks on the road. It was just kind of chaotic until we got, scene stabilization. So we went out and started looking at, is it Applewood a village-owned road? Yes. MRGCD has right of way. We contacted MRGCD, talked about the feasibility of them helping us with this emergency access crossing. They entertained the idea, and that's what got it, to put on our budget. So we have some photographs. We have completed the project as of yesterday. We have a couple of photographs that are kind of progression. So there's a picture of the Loma Larga ditch and Applewood's off in the distance there. I don't know if you can make the pictures a little bit bigger. Probably not. That's okay.
This is from the west side looking east.
This is from Loma Larga looking east. Yep. So next picture, you could just kind of scroll through. We took the opportunity since we put the crossing, that right there is a 16-inch steel sleeve with an 8-inch C900 water pipe. That's for future hydrants. So we went ahead and we put that underneath the culvert. It's been capped off for future use. We have full intentions of getting our water line down there. And when we do, we can connect and then start supplying fire hydrants on the Applewood side. The contractor, you can see they're excavating. MRGCD did the engineering. Their engineering department helped the Village of Corrales, our partnership with them, provide us with the engineering. You can see I believe it's a 60-inch culvert pipe. The original plans called for a 40-foot drive or width. We narrowed it down to about 20. We felt that was sufficient enough for an emergency access. And plus it kept us under budget. So, there was no corners cut here. Everything was professionally done. They took it all the way down. So looking at this pipe here, this is a 60-inch culvert. And that water line that we put in for future is 4 feet below that grade. So that's why the previous pictures show a big excavation hole. While we were out there, we went ahead and made some improvements that we hope that will benefit the citizens that utilize the ditch there for irrigation. You could see this big Russian olive is right smack in the center of the irrigation ditch. We removed that Russian olive. We did talk to the citizens in the area and they supported it. And there's a brand new turn gate for them as well. Or that's the construction of it. And there's the final concrete. So it's a nice brand new turn gate for them. On the other side, our contractor this was not part of the scope, but they wanted to leave things better than it was before. So that's where that concrete says where the tree was located. So you can see concrete, rebar, riprap. So this is probably going to last a long time. So, and I don't know what other pictures. I think I have a final picture of today that I took of what it looks like the final. There we go. So you can see they put down some base course or fill. I'll be working with Steve Lescu and trying to replace those cones with some sort of delineator or something, just so we could see that the edge of the concrete so vehicles don't go off. We're in the process of trying to get a gate quoted out. It'll be similar to the Bosque gates, where it'll be a 10-foot swing out, so a total of 20 feet wide. It'll have a double lock mechanism, so we can have an MRGCD lock and a Village of Corrales lock. And so I just wanted to present that to you. Thank you for budgeting this project. We're excited to get this completed. I also want to mention that part of that community risk was not only identifying, where we can make an emergency access route into Applewood or out of Applewood area, but it was also removing an old rotten wooden bridge that was on the San Mateo drain that citizens had witnessed Uber drivers driving over it when it had, holes in it. So we got rid of that. And also vegetation removal along the San Mateo drain, which has been an accumulation of a fire hazard. I want to thank Steve Lescu and the Public Works crew here in Corrales. They worked really hard to offset the cost of this project so we can keep the cost under budget. And they ended up hauling a lot of material, dirt, fill. They provided water so the contractor didn't have to rent a water truck. So we were able to kind of keep the costs down. So I really appreciate his crew and also MRGCD for allowing us the partnership and the access and their engineering services, because it saved us a lot of money. So one other note I'd like to mention is in the near future, I hope to have maybe a document that the attorneys and the new administration will review, that I'm working with Pueblo Aceros, and I entertain the idea at their utility committee of trying to extend their water utility across to the new hydrant or a proposed new hydrant on Applewood. It'd only be for fire suppression, and it'd only be for the meantime until I can get our Corrales fire suppression line to that location. So some good things are happening. I'm just not prepared to discuss any more of that with you tonight.
Thank you, Anthony. Yes, Councilor Knight.
Hey, thank you, Mayor. Chief, I'm on Loma Larga a lot, and I used to ride my horse on Applewood up to the ditch. There is a huge slope there. Are you going to do anything about that, or?
There's not much we can do. That's something that once we put the gate, we'll have to look at seeing what we can do to kind of improve that. But I don't know what we can do about that. Yeah.
So would a fire truck be able to go from Applewood onto the ditch then, or with that slope being so steep?
Yeah, we should be able to drive up it. We have lots of different slopes here in Corrales, but what's going to be important is making sure it's compact enough so we're not slipping. Yeah.
And so that gate will only be, people can't access from Loma Larga to Applewood, right? It's only for like emergencies?
Correct. It's only for emergencies. We had a neighborhood meeting here in this chambers. About 5 or 6 residents showed up. They were concerned about that being a permanent drive-through, and we assured them it was only for emergency access. The gate will be locked at all times unless for maintenance or an emergency.
Thank you.
Counselor.
Well, thank you. So is there a curb cut then on to Loma Larga for this access point?
There's no curb there. Is it like a curb cut?
Well, I thought there was a curb that went from on Loma Larga from south end to the, maybe I'm thinking of it.
No, it's just, it transitions from dirt to just
Okay.
the bike trail.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you. I must be confused about something there, but.
Anyone else? Chief,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. So, couple of housekeeping things here. We have been fortunate enough to hire 3 new employees in the last 10 days. First, I would like to introduce to you, some already know her, is Teresa Romo, was hired as the administrative assistant in May of 2025. She took over as deputy clerk yesterday. Teresa, you want to stand up? A little about her. Teresa moved to the Albuquerque area about 2.5 years ago. Her previous work experience includes working for Jabal Packaging Surgical Devices, working as a teacher in special education, and working as a receptionist at a dental clinic during the COVID pandemic. She was already assisting in many of the responsibilities of deputy clerk and has some pretty good ideas on how to improve the productivity of the job. So she's a real pleasure to work with. Second is Candace Mosier, started as the new planning permit coordinator for planning and zoning yesterday. She grew up in Corrales and is a longtime member of the Corlitos 4-H Club. She previously worked as the manager at Indigo Crow before becoming a commercial roofing estimator at TPC Roofing. Nice transition. Which was originally located here in the village. Candace has a great attitude and a willingness to learn all aspects of the job. She is also a notary, which is a great benefit to the village. She's not here tonight, but be sure and go meet her over in P&Z. The last one I want to mention is Cameron Jenkins. He started as the new Public Works Office Manager yesterday. This is a position that the council created earlier this year and will be a huge benefit to the department, especially Steve Lescue. Cameron will help organize files and keep track of grants and other funds for the projects. Cameron graduated from Cibola High School and attended UNM. He also has experience computer programming and will be able to help maintain and organize computer files for Public Works. So 3 good new folks to come on, and thanks to the council for creating a new position to help Public Works out. They need it. So yesterday, there was an exit interview for our audit. It was attended by the mayor, Jolene Trippett, Tanya, Juliana Wiggins, Melanie Romero, Josh Trujillo, who was the head auditor, and his employee, Derek Deacle. Councilors Knight and Councilors Murray were also present along with myself. The exit interview lasted about an hour. The village added our comments after the interview was held, and the audit has been sent to Santa Fe and is now under review at the state auditor's office. We anticipate something back from them early next year. Now I'd like to ask Mike Hammond to come up. And Mike is the head of our water team. And last week, the water team met with the people that we have been working with on the proposed 230 acre feet of water rights. Also in attendance, in addition to our water team, we invited Mayor-elect Hashimoto to attend, which he did. And I would like Mike to give a report on the meeting if possible.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, Administrator Curry. Pleasure to be here with you this evening to give you an update. Just a reminder that we, the village entered into a water rights purchase agreement. I believe it was in July when we executed that, or August, somewhere in that timeframe. And the process was made clear to the parties that own the water right and represent the owners of the water right, that it was steps that the village had to go through in order for us to ultimately provide what they call a joint application for transfer to the state engineer's office. And you've heard that discussion before from members of the water team, and also a comprehensive update on getting the water rights that the village currently owns house in order going forward. And we've made incredible progress on that point. One of the things that the owners of the water rights are very interested in is the time it's going to take to be in a position to put the application, the joint application before the state engineer in order for that consideration. And then once the state engineer goes through the process and makes a ruling on it, one way or the other, either allowing for the full transfer of the 230 acre feet or a portion of the 230 acre feet or a denial of the request to transfer are the kind of the options that would unfold at some point in time. One of the things that we talked about was what is the timing of that process? And I think the council has the copy of the
Yes,
of the sheet that shows the timeline of the way things are unfolding. I'm happy to report that the water team is now currently reviewing a draft 40-year water plan, the very first significant water plan that would be submitted to the state engineer for review and approval at some point in the future. But the plan is in really substantially good shape in order to kind of check a box that we need to check to accompany actually two of the permit applications that the village is moving forward with. One being the one that Brittany Gom talked about is the combine and commingle permit that would take all the existing rights from all the wells, with the exception of a couple of domestic wells, and pull them in under one permit that would be assigned to the village of Corrales under state engineer approval. But to be able to do that, you have to have at least a draft of a 40-year water plan in process. It wouldn't be a formally approved 40-year water plan at this point in time, but a draft is sufficient to move forward with considering the application for the combine and commingle. That 40-year water plan sometime in early to mid 2026 would probably go through a review, by the community and by the council and the new administration for representation as the village's final approved 40-year water plan at some point in the future. But having that draft in hand is really critical for the state engineer to consider the combine and commingle permit, which is only allowed for municipalities, the school systems, and some other entities that qualify under that 40-year plan statute. So I'll go through the timeline with you. As I said, on the very first line, it says draft 40-year water plan. We are in mid-December. We do have a draft. We're reviewing it. It'll be submitted to the administration also for a quick review there before we add that into the package for the permit application.
Could you explain to the council the combine and commingle idea concept and why it's advantageous for us to have that, something like that?
Certainly. This is afforded two municipalities that under the 40-year water horizon statute. It allows for the village of Corrales to actually utilize the full extent of their water rights. Right now, we have had over pumping of certain wells that feed the rec area and other parts of the community. And because we do not have a combined commingled permit, those wells have exceeded their permitted allocation. But by doing the combine and commingle, wells that we have underutilized, and now those rights can be used to offset the wells that are being over pumped right now. That's the first step that would occur. There's still a gap of between 12 and 15 acre feet that the village will have to acquire in the future on a long-term basis to cover the gap, even under the full water right portfolio under the combine and commingle permit.
Yeah.
So I think that's the critical nature of it. So once we have that approved, then water rights can be added in the future to address all the village's needs going forward. So with the finalization of the draft water plan, we could submit a combine and commingle permit application sometime early in the new year, and then allow for the state engineer to review it, and then go ahead and authorize publication for the purposes of ultimately approving the combine and commingle application. That would occur sometime maybe in around the early to mid-February timeframe. From that point forward, there's a 70-day period where folks are afforded the opportunity to review and possibly, protest the permit. We don't expect any serious concerns or protests along that line, but you don't know until you actually go through the application process. As an aside, we are already being proactive with Sandia Pueblo to inform them of our actions so that when they're not surprised by the application itself, so that they are made aware of it ahead of time, which may be the only entity that may raise any concerns or issues with it, but we don't expect that from them either. But nonetheless, we have informed them ahead of time. So once the 70-day period runs and there is not any protest, then the state engineer can move forward with approving the combine and commingle application. There will also be another application that will be processed to actually approve the lease agreement with the town of Bernalillo for the San Juan Chama contract. And there's two pieces of that. We have overpumping that we need to get approved and have what they call a makeup plan with the state engineer, and the town of Bernalillo has agreed to lease the village 30 acre feet directly from their storage in Abiquiu Reservoir to actually catch up the overpumping that the village has had for a number of years. And then there's another piece that would be the ongoing gap in our water rights versus our production. And that's roughly around 10 to 15 acre feet, depending on what year you look at. So that future lease is also water that would be available to the village through the year 2030 under that particular lease agreement. And so that those applications will also be submitted during this timeframe. If we do not see any protests, that would be an excellent time for us to submit a draft joint application for the water rights that the village has contracted for to purchase at that time. And then the state engineer could allow for that to be advertised sometime in the early to mid-June timeframe. And then there would be another 70-day period that would be afforded to the community at large to register a protest. And that period ends in early September. So that water rights are complicated. They go through a lot of processes at the state engineer's office for approval or denial, whatever the case may be. And so we expect we'll get the combine and commingle approved sometime in the June to early July timeframe. The lease agreements, the lease applications will be also approved. We don't expect any concerns or problems with those. So that'll get our house in order, if you will. And then we'll be in a position to start acquiring additional water rights going forward under this current agreement. And if that, for whatever reason, does not go forward, the village is in an excellent situation now to try to acquire other water rights that may become available in the future. So with that, I stand for questions.
Councilor Murray?
Thank you. So Mike, who does the OSC publicize this with? I mean, is it just for the Rio Grande Basin or is it statewide?
Mayor, Council Murray, you have to publish it at least twice in a paper of area circulation. So like the Rio Rancho Observer would qualify for that. The state engineer also publishes it on its website. And many people that are in the water rights business are looking at that website constantly for new applications that may affect them. So those are the two sources of publication that will occur at that time.
Okay. And just off the top of your head, what do lease rates go for purchasing or leasing water rights? Is it expensive?
The particular rights that we have are actually relatively inexpensive because there's a cap on how much the town of Bernalillo can lease those water rights for, and they're roughly $100 an acre foot. The water rights that we would get from the San Juan Chamo storage pool that they have in Abiquiu would be $100 an acre foot plus the storage fee that they're paying to the Corps of Engineers to store that water there. So it's basically a cost recovery thing that the owners of San Juan Chamo water are allowed to. There's one exception to that. The Native American pueblos that have, and the Hickory Apache Nation that have San Juan Chamo water are allowed to lease it to the open market. So those water rates are a lot more expensive, but because we're working with the town of Bernalillo, they're very inexpensive.
Well, but does it depend on whether there's actual water present in the reservoir?
Well, yeah, they do already have it in Abiquiu. And they do get an annual allocation of San Juan Chamo water from the San Juan Chamo project.
Regardless of the drought or,
Well,
I'm just curious
yeah.
because it seems like climate would drive a lot of this and whether there's water actually available or,
Right.
Is there a priority that would go to maybe one facility or a town?
Well, the drought has reduced the annual amount of total San Juan Chamo water available, but there's been at least a 50% allocation every year, even during these drought years. So we'll see how it develops, but ultimately, drought could lead to. That's why the agreement could not be renewed after 2030, because if the San Juan Chamo project continues to suffer shortages, then Bernalillo is going to need that water for their own needs.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor.
Anyone else? Mike, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It's a very complicated subject.
Thank you, Mike. And so far, just to report to the council, budgeted $80,000 for the water team's work. And up through today, we've been invoiced for $43,598 at this point. Speaking of money,
I don't have any.
Okay. Well, the village has in its local government investment pool fund $4,126,845. The last thing I want to mention is that in late October, we endeavored to speak with Wells Fargo Bank, and we're participating now in what they like to call is the stagecoach sweep. And so beginning in late October, we started letting them sweep our money on a daily basis at 11 o'clock at night Eastern time until 3 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. These monies are covered by T-bills, U.S. Treasuries. While they're on, we have full access to the funds all the time, but they sweep them out at 11 Eastern time and they bring them back in at 3 a.m. Eastern time. We are using the sum of $4 million right now for the sweep, which is approximately the same amount of money that we have in the LGIP. And they report the funding into us on once a month, early in the month. And so for the late start we got in October, got an average daily annualized fund yield of 3.84%. with an average daily accrual of $406. So at the end of October, we got a yield back to us for a dividend, if you want to call it that, of $2,155. Through November, however, are collecting $12,256. And so year-to-date total through this sweep, stagecoach sweep, we've gotten $14,411. We may move it up a notch or two to anywhere between $5 and $7 million. We have cash flow that moves in and out of our bank account, including grants, bonds, and everything like that. But we can't touch any of those funds. We only can touch what we would call general fund. But we're looking at going up to a maximum of maybe $7 million a night that they sweep, again covered by T-bills. We started thinking about this probably about a year ago, and we talked to the bank about 3 or 4 times before we made the decision to do it. We also talked with our auditor, Josh Trujillo, to make sure that we weren't stepping on our own toes in the process, and we got affirmative answers and all that. And I think it's a good cash flow. What we're doing right now, efforting, and again, we'll be working with Josh trying to figure it out exactly the best way how to identify the monies and what fund they go into so that we can keep a clear notch on them. But so that's the stagecoach sweep.
It doesn't really go anywhere.
So,
yes, sir.
If Ron, if you're finished, I want to ask, could I ask the chief manager to come up for a second?
Sure.
Got a couple questions for you. Back on the 8th, you reported in your crime and safety report about an incident over on La Entrada involving a pedestrian in a vehicle. And supposedly the pedestrian was struck by the mirror of the vehicle. Can you expound on that a little bit? And I'm just curious, was the pedestrian on the pavement? Was he in the bar ditch? Was the vehicle, you only cited it for a headlamp? I'm just curious about, it seems like we've been talking about La Entrada and speeding before, and now we've got an accident, it looks like, and I just want to avoid this in the future if we can. So I was a little curious about the, anyway, how you cited the person for just a non-vehicle accident.
Council Murray, Mayor and Council, the accident was not speed related. So there were 2 juveniles walking along the edge of the roadway, actually in the wrong direction. The state statute requires pedestrians where no sidewalk is present to walk opposing traffic. These juveniles were walking in the same direction as the traffic, one on the dirt portion, the shoulder, and one on the very edge of the asphalt. That is the one who was struck by the rear view mirror of the vehicle going in the same direction at a very low speed. And so that vehicle did only have one operating headlight, so the driver was cited for the headlight violation, and we chose not to cite the 13-year-old for walking the wrong way. We advised him and his parents of the state law and treated it as an educational encounter. But again, speed was not a factor. It was determined that she was actually driving at about 15 miles per hour in the 25 mile per hour.
So we have an ordinance that says that we give 3 feet to our bicyclists. Do we not have same thing for pedestrians? Was there opposing traffic that prevented her from moving out so that she can, give some space to these pedestrians?
To answer the first question, Councilor Murray, no, there is no such ordinance. And to answer the second question, I don't believe there was any oncoming traffic. She thought that she cleared him with the mirror. And
Well, it seems like council, we may need to kind of improve this somewhat, because if we allow our bicyclists to have 3 feet, why can't we have our pedestrians as well? I mean, it seems like to me that she should have given more space than what was there. I mean, I understand teenagers, and sometimes you tell them, yeah, here's the law, but they do what they want to do until they're 21 and they get their brains back. So the question, but I mean, it's really, to me,
closer to 30 now, Councilor.
well, okay. But the point is, it seems to me, though, regardless, that the citation did not fit the incident.
Well, Councilor, she wasn't found to be at fault for a moving violation. That's why she wasn't cited for one. The equivalent violation may have contributed. I'm satisfied with the investigation that was conducted by the officers who responded.
Well, I understand. I was talking to Rick Tall, and he says that speeding has increased over on Lawn Trot again since you guys stopped maybe looking into it or whatever. But anyway, it's something I think, Counselor, we need to think about this, about our pedestrians as well. If we're going to give our space to the bicyclists, let's give it to the pedestrians as well, regardless of what side of the road they're on. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Chief. Yes.
2 quick questions on that matter. Which light was out that the individual didn't have a light?
At what time of day?
Did you say they had a light out?
Going in the same direction. It was the passenger side light. So it was the light where the pedestrian was, that side of the vehicle, correct? Yes. And yeah, she thought that she cleared him, and it was a large full-size truck in the mirror.
Big mirrors, yeah.
Brushed her. Yes.
And the second one is, have you ever heard of, in your experience, of the fact that pedestrians get some certain amount of feet, just like bicyclists do?
No, sir. I'm not aware of any such law as far as giving them a wide berth, you could say, I suppose. But yeah, in this case, like I said, the law does require them to walk facing traffic, and that does help prevent these types of incidents.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Council also.
Not for the chief.
Okay. Chief, thank you very much.
Thank you, Council.
Yeah, because we're a little out of order here, but go ahead. Thank you. Council Alsobrook.
Yes, sir. Thank you. A question for Public Works and Steve, if I could, please. And that's just a little update on expected timing for replacing the electronic speed sign on the downhill side of Meadowlark on the hill there.
Mayor, Administrator Curry, councilors, they're actually all up. We ended up putting 2 on Loma Larga, 2 on Cabazon, and we put 1 on Meadowlark. When they got shipped, they did not get the solar panel. So they're in place and the solar panels are coming. And as soon as they're coming, we'll get them programmed and then get them working.
Right. Okay.
But they have batteries, right?
They do have batteries and they're charged, but if I turn them on, I was afraid if it died, we'd have to reprogram everything.
Okay.
And I can't just go get a normal solar panel because it'll void the warranty. It has to come from them.
Gotcha.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Councilor Woolman.
Thank you, Mayor. Question for Administrator Curry, if I could. At our November meeting, we discussed the transfer of animals to Animal Humane. And I was wondering what the status of the written agreement is with Animal Humane.
As I mentioned to you, sent you in the email, they have a no-kill policy as part of their policies now.
Yeah, which is about 92%. The problem is that that's not our policy. Our policy is no kill. Their policy is that if an animal is ill, they'll destroy the animal. And we've had that experience in this village in the past. I think Karma mentioned to this council, to the public about 2 months ago about an animal, a cat that was picked up, diagnosed as having cancer of the mouth. Turns out it was an abscess and not cancer. The cat was treated and came back to Karma and then was subsequently adopted out. Animal service officers here understand that. I'm not sure Animal Humane does. So the question is, if there are issues that come up, first of all, we need that written agreement. And second of all, it's our determination to be made whether or not that animal is euthanized, not Animal Humane. That animal should come back to us. So that needs to be in the written agreement.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. So we don't have any written agreement at this point.
We had an email agreement that was about 4 years ago.
Right. So we don't have, so since our last meeting, you were going to look into that and
No,
get us.
because we left it because it's a policy of the Animal Humane Association.
Right. But that's not our policy. Thank you.
Well, I just wanted to say that it's been an honor to be in this position for 6.5 years. And I wanted to thank all of you and the citizens of Corrales and both Mayor Roque and Mayor Fahey. So thank you very much. And I also wanted to thank my wife, Cynthia Napa, who has been side by side.
Okay, you done?
I'm done.
All right.
I'm cooked.
Yes, thank you for being here. So we'll move on to Corrales Forum. This section is for informational purposes only, not for discussion or debate, to inform the governing body of an issue or a concern that would not be addressed on the agenda during the business session. There will be a 3-minute time limit for each speaker.
Okay. Up first, we have Eric Johnson. Eric, if you'll come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes.
Eric Johnson, 3871 Corrales. Good evening, everybody. And Mayor Fahey.
Yes, sir.
I want to say that we want to welcome you back as a resident on our team too. That way we put this thing together instead of making it divisive. We don't need 3 and 3. We need 6. So I'd like to invite you wholeheartedly to use your experience on our behalf.
Okay.
My 3 minutes will address closed door sessions and water rates. Now, water rights are complicated. This is the first time I've heard that there were 2 70-day public notices. Now I know that, and tonight I was glad that he said that. Now on the other side, I'm going to tell you right now, if the property in Bernalillo County is a remediation problem, it will not come here, because what Bernalillo County wants and the state water board is that if somebody messes up a piece of property, they fix it. They don't sell it off for the water rights because that guy got it at 10 cents on the dollar, and we're paying. By the way, somebody said $100 over here in this village, right? What's 2.3 million divided by 230? That's not $100, folks. That's $10,000 a piece for junior water rights, which are not the going rate. That's a lie. Okay, let's take a look at more about this. Now, we've gotten a pretty good study from our water team. Fantastic people. But why they're doing commingled is because if they don't do commingled, then the open spaces with available water rights, which are essentially abandoned under the legal terminology and not going to beneficial use, guess what? A resident can take that water right, give it to the village for $1 and use it in a water bank for us. The other thing you didn't hear anything about conservation, did you? What are they gonna do? Build another gym? This is why we've come to a crossroads of leadership. Leadership is followership. And it has to do with not lying by omission from anyone's particular place. And that brings me to closed door sessions. That's a travesty. Closed door sessions violate the Sunshine Act except in defined, narrow circumstances. We didn't do that. All actions are null and void if cannot withstand strict scrutiny by a district court judge. The council members who participated, resulting in a quorum, are complicit without or with a private agenda. But it sure screams agenda, doesn't it? $10,000 for some water versus 100. Something's wrong there, folks. My practical suggestion to this council is to clean the slate for Mayor Hashimoto. declare.
Thank you,
that
Mr.
closed
Johnson.
session.
That's your time.
Thank you.
Okay, next is Bob Eichhorst. Bob, if you'll come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes.
Yeah, Bob Eichhorst, live in Corrales. I talked to Steve at the last meeting. I don't know if council is aware that Rio Rancho has a license plate reader in Corrales on the top of Meadowlark West. It's about 25 feet inside the village boundaries. They say it's just license plate reader. I wish Rio Rancho thought better of Corrales. Rio Rancho would not exist if it was not for Corrales. A long time ago, I used to meet with Mayor David Rusk from Albuquerque, and he showed me a map of Albuquerque. He was going to annex all of Rio Rancho all the way to 44. And the people in Rio Rancho that wanted to annex, to incorporate, went to Albuquerque, and Albuquerque turned them down. We won't give you permission to incorporate, because no, they wanted to annex them. So they came to the village of Corrales. I knew the Albuquerque's plans. I don't want them for my damn neighbors. I made the motion. Becky Ballantyne seconded it. We passed it, and Rio Rancho exists. But they still resent Corrales because they know we're better than them. But they really resent us. Pat Diarca Highway, he fought this village tooth and nail to not allow any road to tie into 528. They finally let us tie in. One last thing, the bridge on Applewood. When the developer built the condominiums up there, they're in violation of village code. We fought her. She was going to have a bridge over the ditch right there at Applewood because Loma Larga didn't exist. And she beat us in court because she wasn't renting or selling the building. She was selling the space in between the walls. So you could only count the square foot in the room, couldn't include the walls. And it was a technicality that she beat us on because our code wasn't prepared for a hotshot lawyer. They came in, they beat, well, by damn, we weren't going to give her a bridge either. So that's why she had to put the wooden bridge so she could go from her house up to her condominiums up there. And we wouldn't let her use Applewood because the residents didn't want a bridge there. And we did. I think it needs a bridge. I think they've done a great job putting one in. But that's just the history behind some of this stuff that it's not written down anywhere. So thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Rex Funk. If you'll come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Speaking.
My name is Rex Funk. I live at 121 Curie Road, and I'd like to make a presentation. But before that, I'd like to give a shout out to the Corrales Fire Department, particularly Chief Martinez, who assisted me in collecting some cottonwood burl wood that was collected during the wood removal. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with cottonwood burl, but it's absolutely beautiful stuff. If that wasn't enough to give thanks to the department, I owe my wife's life to them as well. The EMTs saved my wife's life about 8 years ago. Lujat, could you stand up? Lujat had a heart attack, and the EMTs responded within 5 minutes. We were later told that that made the difference between her living and dying. And the fact that I've been yeah. The fact that I've been able to spend the last 8 years with her is really something that I'm very thankful for. You run a good department. Really good. Let me describe this piece because I ran home and turned this very quickly out of the cottonwood burl that I collected in the bosque. The outside has a bosque theme. It's a landscape theme that includes water and trees and sky and birds, all the things that I experience when I go down to the bosque. And I noticed these burls down there, and I asked Chief Martinez, and he said, "Come on down, we'll help you out." He actually helped me load one in my truck, so it really was a great thing. I'd like to present this tonight to outgoing Mayor Jim Fahey for his excellent service over the past 4 years. And particularly, I'd like to give a shout out for his support for the Bosque and the management of that area down there, and also the arts. I'm a member of the Corrales Society of Artists, and he's always supported arts. He's always been at all our events. And to me, those are two of the things that really add to the quality of life in Corrales. And I really am appreciative of your support of both those things.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
This is very nice. This is very nice.
Yeah.
The rules. Thank you, Rex.
Okay, our next speakers are Donna Salas and Frank Holloway from Hollow Spirits Distillery. If you'll come to the podium, state your names and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Short leg, it'll take me 3 minutes to get here. But I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Donna Salas, and the burly guy in the back with the little girl was my son and granddaughter. She had to get home. She has to get to bed for school. But I'm from Albuquerque. Ooh, yeah.
That's right. We like Albuquerque.
We have issues. We have issues. But anyway, the reason I'm here, we're the owners of Hollow Spirits Distillery. We're a distillery in Albuquerque. We make all of our, well, my favorite is our bourbon. We use New Mexico red corn to make the bourbon. And you're saying, well, why are you here? You're from Albuquerque, and you know, but we are partnering with the Heritage House that you guys are familiar with, Heritage House Inn, Cafe, and Drinkery. So we want to provide the drinkery part of the Heritage House. And I just wanted to introduce ourselves to you and say I look forward to hopefully working with all of you here in Corrales. My son's the public speaker, I am not. But that's all it was to introduce ourselves and say hopefully we'll be on your agenda going forward. And your folks in the village have been very helpful. Melanie and Lori have been very helpful as far as pointing us in the right direction. So we
look forward to your bourbon.
It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
So council will be seeing their alcohol permit coming from RLD here in the next couple of months.
Is that the one that won the national award?
Okay, and our last speaker for the evening is Johnny Martinez. Johnny, if you'll come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Johnny Martinez, Rafael Court, Mayor, Administrator, Council, thank you. Sorry, I'm gonna have to speak fast. On October 18th, council meeting, Ms. Teresa Lopez, a village resident, spoke regarding the incident involving Ted Davidson and attorney Kim Stewart, president of the Corrales Kiwanis Club. At the last council meeting, a few members of the Corrales Kiwanis Club spoke and delivered what I felt were threats of legal action against Ms. Teresa Lopez. I know there are varied opinions regarding this very public matter, so I would just like to state some facts in hope of putting this to rest. On October 18th, Ms. Lopez praised the Kiwanis Club as a civic, quote, a civic organization that has done so much for Corrales children, including my own granddaughter. And she went on to say she was afraid they may be tarnished because of the actions of an individual who is the president of Corrales Kiwanis. At the last council meeting, Ms. Stewart admitted to removing a council campaign sign, which was not hers. The sign has not been returned. The official event report lists this as larceny. The definition of larceny is an unlawful taking or removing of another's personal property with the intent of purposely depriving the owner. Theft. To my knowledge, the sign has not been returned. Owner deprived. Ms. Stewart cited Ms. Lopez and her sources' failure to do their due diligence. She said this information harms the club's reputation. She's responsible for her own actions and they're in no way connected to Kiwanis. She said, I wish to go on record as having provided the truth regarding Ms. Lopez's false statements regarding me and the Kiwanis Club. She will not allow anyone to disparage her with lies. She said, I'm not now, nor on October 17th, President Kiwanis. Also, at the last meeting, John Schuman said, I am the real president of Corrales Kiwanis and the president of Kiwanis Club at the time the removal was signed by Kim Stewart. Kim was not the president then, I was. He said Ms. Lopez's comments were false from the very beginning. He also said regarding the golden rule, its practice cannot be based on lies. Ms. Lopez, if you choose to attack to the Kiwanis Club, please do so with facts. So here are a few more facts. Both John Schuman and Kim Stewart admitted that Ms. Stewart took the Hashimoto campaign sign, which has not been returned. Ms. Stewart's professional resume on LinkedIn lists her as the president of the Kiwanis Club from 2018 to present. You have a copy of that. For those who do not know, LinkedIn is an American social networking website for people in professional occupations. As a former human resources specialist and recruiter, I can tell you that citing incorrect information on your professional resume is considered misrepresentation, which could get one terminated in most cases. Perhaps Ms. Lopez and her sources did their due diligence in attempting to find out who Ms. Stewart was. Their understanding of her being the Kiwanis president was merely based on Ms. Stewart's misrepresentation of her credentials. Another fact is the Corrales Kiwanis website lists Ms. Stewart as a president of the organization. You have that. Mr. Schuman, Ms. Lopez's statements may have been also based on the website information you provided as a president of the organization you were responsible for. Misrepresentation, disinformation, and lies did not originate with Ms. Lopez, but with the individuals who spoke against her in the last council meeting. I would like to finish up by reminding everyone that Ms. Lopez is the kind woman who frequently speaks goodwill and was merely charging this body and all who witness this proceedings to act with transparency and
Thanks,
respect.
Johnny. That's your time.
Thank you.
That's it, Mayor.
All right. So now we'll move on to Councilors Forum. This section is for informational purposes only, not for discussion or debate. To inform the governing body of an issue or a concern that would not be addressed on the agenda during the business session, a council member may respond to an issue or a concern brought up by a resident in the preceding Corrales Forum, but to remain in compliance with the Open Meetings Act, the subject will not be up for debate or discussion. Who would like to start? Councilor Alsobrook?
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to recognize your past 4 years of service as mayor and all your previous contributions as a member of this council, your participation in SCAFCA and all your community service. And I certainly hope that after a brief respite, you come back and keep serving the village as you have in the past.
Well, thank you. Councilor Woolman.
Well, to expand a little bit on Councilor statement. It's the last meeting of the year, last meeting for Dr. Fahey as mayor. I want to thank him for the many years of service to this community, from the Growers Market, the 8 years in the village council, the 4 years as mayor. While this council and the mayor did not always agree, progress was made in a number of areas. Any public servant wants to leave office knowing that his or her community is better than when they assumed office. I think Mayor Fahey can embrace that feeling. So thank you, and please stay involved with your community.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir. Councilor Murray.
Thank you. On a different topic, I was on Corrales Road a couple of days ago, and I was got up to the Montessori school where the crosswalk is at, and a mother and her child, they pushed the button, the lights flashed, and yet some cars did not stop. And I just want to remind everybody that when we have those blinking lights at the crosswalk, the pedestrians have the right of way, and we are to pay attention and stop for that, for those persons. And it is against the law too, according to the state, if a person is in a crosswalk or not, they have the right of way. So let's pay attention, folks, and let's make sure that we stop for these folks where these right of ways and crosswalks are at.
Very good. Councilor Mira.
Same here, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your work, and I want to thank you for the staff that you brought with us, Ron and everyone else that's sitting at the table. Thank you very much for all your hard work in putting that group together.
Actually, I didn't do that. That was Joanne Roque. She did a very good job of putting this team together. I was just a caretaker, and I really appreciate all that. But, my job was basically to stay out of their way. To give them some direction, but to keep out of their way and let them do their thing, because these are very talented, very professional, very knowledgeable people. We could not ask for better fire chief or deputy fire chief, village clerk, hopefully to move on to something bigger and better. But, and then we have Laurie, who keeps us all on the straight and narrow with regard to development. I mean, we have to control the development here in the village or it will get out of hand. And I think we're doing a fair job of that. But no, thank you very much for all your comments. But I have to say, I was just a caretaker. That's all. Okay. Well, we'll move on now to the consent agenda. Approval of minutes for November 18th, 2025 regular council meeting. And approval of resolution 25-48, which is a budget adjustment resolution. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We do need
Mayor, we
a
have-
roll call vote, please. We have a.
Oh, that's right. We have a resolution. All right. Councilor Murray,
Yes.
Councilor Alsobrook,
Aye.
Councilor Knight,
Aye.
Councilor Woolman,
Aye.
Councilor Miera,
Yes, sir.
and Councilor Burkett.
Aye.
Thank you. First, new business, consideration action approval of resolution 25-49, approval to change scope of work for municipal arterial program, MAP project L 374 administered by NMDOT. This is a crosswalk on Loma Larga. Steve, you want to come make some real brief comments?
Mayor, Administrator, Council. So when we basically closed out our portion with Albuquerque Asphalt, we have approximately $200,000 left. So we reached out to DOT and they said with a couple of things that they would more than likely consider letting us use the remaining funds to design and construct a crosswalk to connect Lower Meadowlark to Upper Meadowlark. But this was one of the things they wanted was a resolution of support from you all to make sure that you all want the funds to go towards that.
Yes, sir. Councilor Murray.
Thank you. So I was talking to Melanie prior to the meeting and I understand that now we have to purchase mailbox clusters for the people somewhere on Meadowlark. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's come up and we were going to try and put it in the design because with the curb and gutter, the mail person actually has to drive on the walking path to deliver the mail. And if it's just not a good thing to have them up there driving, but they will not get out, block Meadowlark and deliver them by hand. So when I talked to the postmaster, that's what he had recommended is that we should do that.
Do you have a location for the cluster box?
We're hoping with the engineering that they can fit it in somewhere. We've talked about a few locations towards the bottom, but nothing in stone.
Okay. Also, I understand, I was asking a question to Melanie, but the alignment of the crosswalk meets the new paving on lower.
There'll have to be some sidewalk poured and some ADA ramps on each side to come across. So they'll probably come up and then go north a little bit and then come across and then go south to reconnect.
Okay, but it's in alignment with the south part of Meadowlark so that they don't have to cross the road anywhere.
Yes.
Other than Loma Larga, I mean.
Correct.
Okay. And how much do you think this is going to cost? Because I can't see $200,000 for a crosswalk and some, are we going to be able to move that money somewhere else and utilize that within the village?
That I'm not sure about. I know the crosswalk signals themselves can get very expensive. I honestly don't know. I mean, from a curb and gutter and concrete standpoint, it's probably 20,000, give or take 25. But as far as the rest, the engineering and then the crosswalk, when we were at our DOT meeting, they said they can go anywhere from 20, 30,000 all the way up to 500,000-600,000. So I don't know what they would design to put in there to stop traffic.
I'm in the wrong business.
Yeah.
Councilor Alsobrook.
Thank you, Mayor. Steve, just to clarify, so this would be signalized, sort of like what Councilor Murray was describing earlier by the Montessori school. There'll be some
I'm not sure whatever they would, whatever the engineer would recommend is what it would be.
We will make some requests.
Yeah.
And we have a budget. We have 200 grand.
Yep.
And we'll try to get them to work within the budget. Yes, sir.
Counselor Burkett has a question as well.
Good.
Okay. Counselor Burkett, you go first.
Thank you, Mayor. My hunch is since we have $200,000 in the budget that by sheer coincidence and nothing else, that a crosswalk is going to cost roughly $200,000, which fills me with rage because I'm looking at data from other states, and some of it's not new, but 2020 average cost of a crosswalk is about $20,000 to $25,000. But in New Mexico, with our probably one or two people that are allowed to do it who may or may not have cousins that are state legislators, it's going to cost us exactly whatever our budget is, up to $200,000. So I very much dislike this, but I realize that we need a crosswalk, and we don't probably have any other options that'll do it for anything near a reasonable amount of money.
Well, we're not going to tell them how much we have.
Well, we just put it in a public meeting, so my guess is that for 200 grand, they probably got about.
So
60.
you would like for us to keep it secret, huh?
Well, I
Not
think
tell
they got
anybody.
one dude painting the crosswalks and 16 people reading minutes of small municipalities meetings to see how much money they have for crosswalks.
We
Okay.
don't necessarily have to put that in the minutes, Counselor Burkett.
It's,
Or
well,
you
it's
could
in
remove it.
It's in
But
the
the
agenda.
reason we're doing this with this fund is because this is money we can use for this project.
Yeah, they won't, I'm
We
sorry.
can't use it someplace else.
No, we cannot use it someplace else. I had to get permission from DOT to extend the project another, I think it was another 200 feet or 100 feet.
Right.
For them to accept it.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, and I get we need the crosswalk. I would love us to get multiple quotes for this because despite the fact that we need it, despite the fact that this is the only money we can use for it, I get a fair amount of heartache about misusing funds, and $200,000 for 60 feet of painted lines and a little bit of curbing and a couple signs is an absolute misuse of funds.
Well, Counselor Burkett, our procurement rules would require us to get different bids.
I thought that was the case unless we had a state-approved person already. We didn't have to get multiple bids if we already were using somebody that was approved as a government vendor.
That's true, but we would find the person that had the best quote. Tanya is our procurement officer, and she keeps us on track. So
thanks.
Yes, sir. Councilor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So one of the suggestions I would have, if we do put a signalized light in there, that we make it equestrian friendly as well. So they do have both a.
Put it higher up.
Two buttons, yeah, one lower and one upper
Right.
for the horse rider. So let's look at that too.
We can ask. We can certainly put it in what we ask for. Yeah.
And I know just from the talking to the postmaster, some of the concrete in the mailbox can be $40,000-$50,000 as well.
Grief. Who's concrete?
I think we found Jimmy Buffett.
Where's wrong?
Yeah.
You're in the wrong business.
Okay. Steve, thank you very much.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution 25-49.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any additional comments? Councilor Murray?
Let's keep this cost down if we can, because I mean, it just like 200,000, like Councilor Burkett says, that's just.
It's a lot of money.
It is. I mean, it doesn't make sense to spend that kind of money for that, but I understand, so.
Well, I don't really have much experience putting in crosswalks, so I can't tell you the truth. Okay. Councilor Mira, how do you vote? Councilor Woolman.
Aye.
Councilor Knight. Councilor Alsobrook.
Aye.
Councilor Murray.
Aye.
And Councilor Burkett.
Aye.
Okay. So resolution 25-49 is approved. Consideration action and approval of resolution 2550 establishing regular meetings of the governing body and determining reasonable notice for the Open Meeting Act. So I need a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
I have a second and a second. So we have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have a concern about this meeting schedule for next year. It shows that 5 of the 12 months next year will have only one meeting. Issues arise which can't be dealt with. Perhaps more importantly, it denies the residents the ability to express their concerns to the council on a regular basis. We already have November, December established with only one meeting, but why we have to add July, was it July, August, and Anyway,
January.
November, December.
Can you tell me why that happened? Because this is an issue we talked about several times in the past.
Up until Mayor Fahey took office, we always had 5 months of the year where we had one meeting. So it was always June, July, August, November, December. Always had one meeting of the month, and it shifted to the third Tuesday of the month. When Mayor Fahey took office, he said we need 2 meetings, especially in the summertime. So Jolene and I actually sat down and took a look at what needs to be accomplished. What are those deadlines to the state, and when do the approvals from council have to take place? And so one of the things we had to consider is the 72-hour notice required by the Open Meetings Act to be able to get those packets together. So that's why we had one meeting in July, because there's not really a good time. We have to wait for numbers to come in on the GRT, which don't happen until sometime between the 15th and the 17th of the month. But then we have to have approval on the resolutions and the budget and all of that from council. But then Jolene needs time to actually upload it into the state system. So if we waited until the 4th Tuesday of the month, that wasn't enough time for those numbers to come in and for us to prepare a packet. And if we waited until the last Tuesday of the month, that doesn't give her enough time to input it into the state system. So that's why we moved the July meeting to Thursday. We can, if something comes up, we can call a special meeting. But, council had kind of alluded to wanting to go back to one meeting in the summertime. And with January, the reason we only have one meeting in January is because there's now a state law that requires your organizational meeting, which is supposed to be your first meeting of the year after newly elected officials take office, it must occur between January 15th and January 22nd. So that didn't match our 2nd and 4th Tuesdays. So we could do, and then we have an appeal that needed to be scheduled for January. And we had already said we were going to do a special meeting in January to discuss the lot coverage. So we have 3 meetings in January. And it just felt like a lot for staff and the council to try and add in a 2nd meeting in January. We would be meeting every single week.
So that would be a bit of an aberration for 2026, but not necessarily going forward.
It's
obviously up to council. But
right. It's up to council. And, if you guys want to make an adjustment, that certainly can happen with a motion, and we can make the adjustment to the resolution.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Melanie, what's the required, if we say, for instance, we say, well, we want to squeeze in another meeting between, for July and August. What's the required notice?
A special meeting requires 3 days notice. No, or is it 10 days? No, I think it's 3 days. It's in the resolution, and I'm sorry, I don't have it before me, but I think it's 3 days. So you still get that 72-hour notice period before a meeting.
Got it.
It's easier to cancel a meeting than to try to schedule one. And when I was on the council in the past, we had many times where critical votes needed to be taken and we weren't having a meeting. I don't know, John, I don't know if there were any when you were on the council the first time, but it's critical sometimes to time it so that you can apply for grants and you can have the council vote. And so I would be hesitant to go to one meeting every month. I would schedule 2 meetings in July and August, and all the other months except for, like this year, January is kind of screwed up. But I think the December and November exception is okay, but even that can be an issue. So my feeling is that we should have 2 meetings in July and August, but of course I'm not going to be here, and that would be up to you guys. Yes, sir.
Maybe we can hear from the mayor-elect, or does he have a preference?
Did he sign up to make a comment?
Oh, we didn't have a sign up for this item.
Okay.
Okay.
Councilor Burkett, looks like you have something.
Okay, Councilor Burkett.
Yep. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Melanie. I do have one request that at least one of the months at the bare minimum during the summer is a 1 meeting month. I try very hard to schedule vacations, and I know based off my attendance on the previous couple meetings, it doesn't look that way. But I try very hard to schedule vacations around council meetings and on a cadence of every 2 weeks through the short window my kids don't have school. It is difficult to find times to be out of town and take the family on a vacation. So one of the months over the summer, being a 1 meeting month, would be helpful for me very personally for that. But that's I know I'm in a unique situation there.
Would you like to make an amendment?
I mean, I'm happy with it as is. I just would like to put on the record that if we do add more meetings, to please leave 1 meeting or 1 month in the summer with only 1 meeting.
Okay.
But I would accept this as it is. I think there were several meetings over the course of the year that were unnecessary. There was not a lot of action that happened during those meetings. Now I'm going to say that, and we're going to be grossly overextended all the meetings, but there were multiple meetings this past year that were probably unnecessary and happened. So I don't think we're going to deprive the citizens of things getting accomplished in the village that need to get accomplished.
Yes, sir. Council Murray.
I think it seemed like to me though, in July, wasn't it busier than I remember, or I don't know. It seemed like there was an awful lot of activity this year in July.
We did have a lot of things that were on the agenda that were not necessarily annual items, but we did have a lot in.
But there's no budget requirements or anything like that.
Well, that's why we moved the Thursday. So the things that are required in for the council approval in July are the fourth quarter approval, which you have to wait for the GRT numbers to come in before we can do that. The final budget, which again, you're relying on stuff to come in. And then we always do the approval of our inventory, our capital assets. And there's one more. Do you remember what the fourth one is? Anyway, but there's 3 or 4 items that are required by
So
council to close out the year for.
Along with those mandatory items, we could have a full schedule and be here till midnight, depending on what.
We could, and this resolution, we could amend the meeting schedule at another date if we're getting close to that, and we say, hey, we need more meetings. But if council wants to go ahead and add those meetings in now, that can be done with a motion.
I'm happy with it as it is. I think we can adjust it as needed.
Okay, ready for a vote?
Yep.
Councilor Murray, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilor Alsobrook?
Aye.
Councilor Knight? Councilor Woolman?
Aye.
Councilor Miera?
Yes, sir.
And Councilor Burkett?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, consideration action approval of resolution 25-51, establishing a holiday schedule for all village employees for 2026. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2551?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion for and a second. Any discussion?
I'm just happy to give the rest of the
I
village.
was told that. You were very happy to give days away. And
I know,
Geez,
I know,
what a
but
deal.
it came to my attention though, that some departments were not being let off a half day prior to the holiday, especially in November and Christmas, that some of them might still had to be working that full day. So giving them a half day, I think is just only justifiable.
It's only fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments?
Your birthday's not on here.
No, it didn't.
So, Councilor Miera, how do you vote?
Yes, sir.
Councilor Woolman?
Aye.
Councilor Knight?
Aye.
Councilor Alsobrook?
Aye.
Councilor Murray?
Yes.
Councilor Burkett?
Aye.
All right, now we move on to consideration action approval of Farmland Preservation Agricultural Commission rankings of properties of the Farmland Preservation Easements Program. Which properties and how many? Who's going to start this?
We have Michael Cisco here,
Okay.
and then we have a couple members of the Farmland Commission that are here.
Okay,
And I do believe we had two of the property owners that are whose properties are being considered here to speak.
very good.
So maybe we should start with Michael Cisco.
I mean, we don't have to,
Way to kick things off. I'm not sure what information you need from me. I think we do have 5 applicants for the funding, and so that you have information on all the different properties and And also the ranking that the Farmland Preservation Commission provided as well.
Counselor Murray.
Yeah, so my question is, what has changed since the last time we talked? Because what we basically have is the information that looks like it we got the first time. So has anything changed between the applicants? I got an email from Ms. Holmes, was upset because she heard that the appraisal was only going to be $2,000 or $3,000. Now she's hearing $15,000, and she was unsure about some of the process that was, whether it was being transparent or not.
No, nothing has happened since the last council meeting in November. Everything's just been on hold because we were told that the decision was going to be made today. So there's been no communication with the landowners other than notifying them of the meeting today. They're more than welcome.
Well, some of them couldn't make it, I don't think.
Yeah. But nothing has happened, no updates since the last meeting.
So what you need from us is a selection order, basically who, the properties and how we would choose them, how much we would provide per acre. You know,
Yeah, no, I think it's more of how many projects you can fund based upon the funding you have available.
yeah, that's sort of what I was saying.
Yeah.
May have gotten around to it a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then the percentage that we would provide for each of, so what we had talked about the last time was we would do the appraisal, the village would do the appraisal, but we would subtract that from the funding of the properties, correct? Is that what your understanding was?
I think you discussed fronting the funds for the appraisals, so
Yes.
the landowners wouldn't have to pay out of pocket,
Yes.
but then that you would take those
From
funds
the
at end of
cash.
closing when
Yes.
they're paid for their
Okay.
preservation.
Out of the
Yeah.
closing.
Yep.
Yes.
Council does need to decide what percentage of the appraised value will be paid to the homeowners.
And your
to the landlord.
suggestion was 75%?
Yeah, I think 75% is a good rate. Yes.
Okay.
Because I think Michael had estimated, just kind of a guesstimate, but that all 5 properties might be able to be funded with the $2 million that was approved by voters if we funded at 75%. If we went any higher than that, likely some of the projects lower on the list would not have enough money for funding.
Right. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir, Councilor Mira.
Do they have to sign up, property owners that are here? Did they have to sign up, be able to speak to this?
Well, they have, they did sign up.
Yeah.
They did? Okay, because I'd like to hear from them, especially those that are coming up about the 75% and the fact that they're coming off of the final agreed upon value.
Okay.
Would you like to
do
go ahead and do that? Okay, so let's have Eric Johnson come up first. Eric, you've already given us your name and address earlier, but you will have 3 minutes. Let me get the timer going. Okay, you'll have 3 minutes.
Our property is the one directly across the Montessori school. And it's dead center in Corrales. It probably has the most impact of any 2 acres in Corrales for this purpose. We also, when you guys are talking about school zones, that's a preschool and an elementary school. That deserves a 15-mile-an-hour light for 13 minutes a day. And we haven't gotten that. And now that we're expanding down the way to the middle school, you're going to need 26 minutes. So please understand that we would love to have our property be just on the other side of the street of school. But now we're seeing almost accidents on a daily basis because the parents go on the other side for both, and we don't mind if they park on our property. But we've never minded that. But we need a real light, not.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir, Council Officer.
Just a question question for the applicants for Mr. Johnson, maybe. In our summary, it says that future use of property, the applicants have stated that they intend to lease the property to growers that place it back into agricultural production. Can you just expand on that a little bit?
Yes, we've been talking for months with Milagro Winery, and we would love to do that. We'd love to have that front acre be another acre or 2 acres, because we can handle that too. And at the front of our property, we think that it represents the historical value of previous owner who we're trying to honor, as well as our own values that we would like it to be a vineyard. And we know that there's a $30,000 upfront cost to do that. And there's a 3-year period where it may or may not work, kind of like water rights, right? So we're all prepared for that. But we can't go forward if we're not gonna make it past the, if we make it past the first year, I'm pulling my hair out. So thank you.
Good, thank you.
Anything else?
Yes,
Yeah, I drive by your property on Corellis Road often, and it looks pretty arid. Are there pumps there that would support a vineyard or any kind of other agriculture?
Our water is at 8 feet. We have a 200-foot well, and we have two in the back, and we can also bring up a pre-1954 well as well. And we have ditch rights all the way back. But before we start doing $40,000 worth of work, I'm not gonna do that, because you might consider the land preservation. Do we have water? Absolutely. And Michael can attest to that.
Okay.
Anything else?
anyone else have a question? Thank you very much.
The next property owner would be John Whitney. John, if you'll come up.
That's me.
Okay, okay. And then we have Alan from the Indigenous Farm Hub, if you'd like to come up, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alan Brower. I'm the Senior Director of Naka Inspired Schools, which is an education-focused Indigenous organization. And I happen to run the Indigenous Farm Hub here in Corrales. It's in the north side of Corrales. There's 16 acres that used to be called Tresello Fields. We, over the last 5 years or so, we worked with the landowners and purchased 12.4 acres of that land and have farmed it since 2021. The piece of property, as you all probably are aware of from the maps, there's two 6.2 acre sections. And then to the south is the Henry family's land, and then the matriarch of Tresello Fields that's local here. And we plan to put the middle section between where her home is and the north side where the Targeta family is, to kind of make a green space there, but to continue to do land-based learning experiences with youth. We probably had over 1,200 students this past year come to our farm to engage in language and culture and the vocation of farming. We run apprenticeships and internships with 9th through 12th graders with multiple schools. And we run a farmer in residency training center as well for Indigenous farmers who are really interested in building prosperity, either on our farm or in their home community. This past year, most of what we do is our CSA, subscription of produce. We are able as a nonprofit to make sales, but we also know that our focus on food sovereignty is not just about making money, but prospering through ensuring that families who are further away from food security, we're able to provide them with the benefit of our produce as well. So the combined 25 weeks of our growing season, the combined amount of families that we touch each week is about 200 families, as we provide them about $40 worth of vegetables. We also, on the wintertime, we really focus in on our 2 greenhouses. One is set up as a complete hydroponics system. We're in the process of moving our other greenhouse to be hydroponics as well. And so we'll have about 5,000 plants at any given time growing in there that we're going to be able to continue to enrich our community with the benefit of fresh lettuce and other greens throughout the year. And then finally, I wanted to share, we also focus in on both the educational part, but the prosperity building part of doing some value-added production as well. We have popcorn that we put out each year, and then blue and white corn, and we make our own fresh masa through partnerships with the IPCC, as well as corn flour and white flour, especially around this time of the year where it's a hot commodity.
Councilor Woolman.
Thank you, Alan. It's good to see you. How many different crops are you growing in the course of a year?
You know, this past year, we probably, including our greenhouse, we probably are exceeding 60 different crops that we grow. So if we can figure out a way to grow it here in Corrales, we try to do it. We do the front 6 acres that we do on the home farm. the front 6 acres is where we do a most complete micro irrigation using our drip tape irrigation system. The back part, we put in cover crops, including oats and perennial grasses as well. And so not including those things, we have about 60 different crops that we provide.
Did you ever think about putting a farm stand out on Corrales Road?
We have thought about doing that. As a farmer, like I love to have like all of our food contracted as much as we possibly can. I love the idea of a farmer's market. For me, I personally, my team sometimes disagrees with me. I like to like have families sign up and we know exactly where that food is going every single week. And we can get that out. And if we have a bumper crop, we can provide that to other organizations who are in food systems work.
And lastly, congratulations on your piece on New Mexico in Focus. It was terrific.
Thank you, Councilman. Appreciate you.
Really good.
I have a
Yes,
question-
Murray?
I have a question for you and maybe Mr. Cisco. So we're looking at 5 properties and it sounds like we're going to engage the village to pay for the appraisals. But if we don't have enough money for all 5, are we still paying for an appraisal on the properties that may not make the cut?
I think you can sit down.
Yeah, this is a Mike Cisco question here because
I would say,
because
I would say we would estimate how many properties that we can cover based on what Michael says he would suggest as a, and we're not really buying the land, so to speak.
No, but
we're buying a farmland easement. Yeah. But we don't own the
it
land.
seems like to me that this should have been a resolution because if we're advocating paying for the appraisals, it seems like that should have been maybe a resolution for.
It certainly can be.
I mean, it should have been tonight, I would have thought, because we're already advocating that we're going to pay for the appraisals and you're saying 75%, value. So I'm just a little worried that maybe are we, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. So appraisals will be probably around $15,000 per property. So that's times 5, that's 75,000.
So we can just take that right out of the bond money?
Yeah.
And we don't have to.
All related costs. Yeah, I'm assuming. I mean, you guys tell me.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it would come out of the bond money.
Even if we couldn't finance the last 2 or 3 properties?
Even if.
Okay.
We do what we can with what we have.
Okay. So as long as it's in the bond, we're paying for it out of the bond. That's basically, it's not coming out of our budget.
That's correct.
Okay.
Councilor Alsobrook.
Thank you, Mayor. So the agenda item is to approve the rankings. And are the rankings so we have a description here in a map, property 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are those numbers also the rankings?
No, the rankings are on page.
Where are the rankings?
Yeah, the numbers on the map are just to identify the property.
Oh, that's what I thought. And
122?
It's the last
Oh,
page,
okay.
123.
Yep.
Well, maybe they do have rankings over here on 122, but the numbers that they came up with are on the other page.
Yep.
To show you where they fall on their judgment, the Farmland Conservation Agricultural Committee on their estimation. And we can certainly change that. We can accept that. I think we accepted that way back then, that ranking, but you can certainly modify it, change it. Okay.
And I do believe Councilor Burkett had a comment or a question.
Councilor Burkett.
I did have a question, and it was actually for any of the property owners, but maybe in general. I'm just curious. We're talking about the 75%. I'm curious how much the financial piece means versus the conceptual or the philosophic piece. I mean, I know the finances play a role in it, but I want this ranking list to mean something. And so if it's going to come down to dollars and cents and people potentially saying no because it's not enough, I would like us to maybe explore paying a higher percentage on people that are ranked higher on this list. So we preferentially are putting our money with what the committee is ranked as the highest, because if we go 75% across the board and then the number 1 property says it's not enough, then we get stuck with 4 properties that aren't as good that it is enough for. So I don't know how we do that. And I don't think that's the action point for today, but I just want the rankings that we have that I agree with completely. I think they're great, to have some value when it comes to actually signing checks as well, that the first ranked property is worth more to the village than the fifth ranked property. And as such, we should pay a higher percentage of the value. And I'd like to find a way to do that.
We do need to make sure we pay each property owner the same percentage. So we couldn't say pay 100% for the number 1 ranked property and 75% for the number 5 ranked property. But
That has to happen. I mean, I guess what's the point of having a ranking list then? Or do we just use the ranking list to say maybe we're not even going to look at pieces number 4 and 5?
This item did come up in one of our farmland preservation meetings where we had kind of floated that idea, but really to maintain the integrity and fairness of the program, we need to pay everybody the same percentage value. So if you want to go with a higher value, then council can say, you know, we want to try and fund projects ranked number 1, 2, and 3. And then if there's anything left over, you can look at 4 and 5.
I think that would preserve the fairness of the program. I disagree that that would preserve the integrity of the program. I think the integrity of the program would assign higher values to higher value property. So we have to decide what's more important to us, being fair or having the integrity of saying, yes, this property is better than that property. And as such, it's worth more.
Yeah, and I don't know if maybe Sam and Isabella want to come up and talk about how we talked about this at one of their meetings.
I just have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
I mean,
Councilor Murray.
It's just a quick comment. I mean, come on up, please. But I know all the properties are not all the same size. So we got different valuations that are going to come in depending on what the size of the property is.
Yeah.
Wish I remembered our discussion. Anyway, I think that the criteria that we used actually goes to what Councilor Burkett is talking about, because we did give more points for a larger property. We gave more points for historic value. We took a lot of things into consideration, and it is reflected in the ranking. So I don't know what else to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very clear. We were very inclusive when we did this whole process. We had multiple meetings where we set up this ranking system where that's all we spent 2 hours doing of our free time. And so I think this system we did is pretty darn good. And you guys we've met with you multiple times. So I think you have time. You should be getting going with this bond. It's been a while now.
The one thing I would say is that this ranking does truly reflect the difference in the properties. That first property is far and away the most iconic property when you're talking about farmland in Corrales. Certainly more so than the last ranked. The top ranking is the Indigenous Farm Hub, 6 acres on Corrales Road with the mountains behind it. This is what everybody thinks of when they think of farming in Corrales. You know, not something that's hidden behind fences and things like that. So you see that in the ranking. Number 1 is number 1. Number 2 is number 2. It's Evelyn Losak's apple trees. And you can't get more historic and significant than Evelyn's trees. And those 2 are certainly more important than the ones that follow them. But they all have value. They all are important to maintain if we can. We're losing our farmland, we're losing our open space. If we can have all, we need all. If we can only have 2, it needs to be the top 2. So, you know, that's just our perspective, right?
Councilor Alston-Brook.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. This is just not for you guys. Thank you very much for that.
Thanks, Sam.
Just a clarifying administrative point. So in the one table, it lists the property owners for the various properties. And for 3871 Cross Road, we heard from Mr. Johnson. The property owners are listed as other people on the table on page 123. So I'm just wondering, it's Diane Lidicote and John Whitney. So I'm just wondering what that relationship is with Mr. Johnson. Oh, maybe Mike, you know.
Yeah, he's correct. It's a previous owner. So when that table was put together, they had it under contract for sale. And because that table is from
Early last year, probably, right?
Yeah, before they purchased it, and we
Okay.
got permission from
Okay.
the owner to submit the application.
Got it. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm
Counselor
still-
Mira.
Thank you. I'm still confused. Are you still sticking with the fact that for about 15,000 per, regardless whether it's 2 acres or so, that's how much it's gonna cost to do the
Yes.
evaluation?
Yeah, you can do a 10,000 acre ranch and it's gonna cost $15,000 to $20,000 for appraisal, yeah.
I just
Yeah,
want to make
the
sure on
size
that
doesn't
one.
Matter, yeah. Yep.
And the owners that came up didn't seem to have a concern about that one. I was probably just my own concern, but we're pretty sure about that one. So if we did that times 5, that's where we're gonna be at.
Yeah, right around there. I mean, I can't guarantee exactly what the appraiser is gonna
Yeah.
charge, but that's the historical kind of.
But your last statement is a lot better. Whether 25 acres or 2,000 acres, it's gonna be about 50.
Will be about the same, yeah. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So what do you want to do?
Mayor, I move that we approve the ranking list as given in our packet from the Farmland Preservation Committee.
Let's review that. Number 1, Indigenous Hub. Number 2, Homes Property. Number 3, John Whitney. Number 4, Christina Marshall. And number 5, Wildlife Rescue.
That's correct.
Okay, so on page 122.
I'll second that.
All right, so that's the order, and we're going to appraise all 5. Is that what you're suggesting in your motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so the motion is we're going to accept the ranking of the Farmland Preservation and Agricultural Commission, and we're going to get appraisals on all 5 chunks of land. And we will provide for, you have a percentage in mind that you want to provide for wait till you get the appraisal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
See how much money we have.
So the purpose of getting appraisals on all 5 is to determine how much money you're going.
How much money we'll have to split up.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, just clarifying. That.
Okay.
Make sure. 'Cause
Be
the
sure
usual
that's
pro-
written down.
The usual process is you enter into an option to do the project with the landowners and the appraisal comes later. So you're saying you want to do the appraisals now so you
Well,
can figure out how much.
We have a limited amount of money.
Yeah.
And we have 5 pieces of land. I mean, that means if we just split it up and the 5 pieces of land is $400,000 per piece. Do we have 2 million or do we have 1.8?
2 million.
We have 2 million. Okay. Is that sort of, you want to, okay. So the motion is we're going to accept the order of the properties as listed on page 122. And it's been moved and seconded. Who seconded it, by the way? Councilor Murray. And we're going to pay for appraisals of all 5 pieces of land. And when those are done, we will look at those and see how much money we have. And then we can determine what percentage we can pay or what percentage we will pay for each property. Now, it may change. I mean, you may not have, the bottom 2 may not have enough money.
Okay.
So does that work though, Michael? Because like you said, I know in the past, we have to enter into the option agreement to be able to do this kind of work. And
So-
the option agreement says how much we're paying for the property.
So what's probably going to happen if you set it up like this is we're just going to contract with the appraiser to do the appraisals and not enter into any agreement with any landowners at this point in time. And then that information will tell us how many landowners we can actually work with. But then at that point, we would enter into options with landowners.
If we are unable to work with a couple of the landowners who had their land appraised, is that going to be a problem with the anti-donation?
I don't think so because we're doing it for a village purpose. What I would propose a kind of a middle alternative if we are pretty sure that we have an interest in the top 1, top 2, or top 3, we could, instead of following your motion and appraising all of them without signing any option agreements, we could option the top 2, get those appraisals done, see what money that's going to be, and then see if we have any left. I mean, it just,
Stepwise.
I'm throwing it out there. The other good thing about it is you've got an option agreement in place that will then tie the property up. They've agreed that they're willing to enter this process with you.
But the appraisals are going to take a long time.
Couple months, most likely. Yeah, probably 30 to 60 days.
Okay, well, that's not that bad.
Michael, does that seem like a strategy that would be doable?
Yeah, the great thing about real estate is you can be very creative. Yes. So I think that's, if you prefer that, you're gonna pretty much, fund the top two projects, that's a good way to go.
Okay.
Because then you got them under option and the landowner is committed to the process.
Councilor
And then
Murray,
you can see how much.
when he finished.
Well, the question is now is what date are we up against that we have to get this money spent?
June 30th.
27.
Yeah.
27, okay.
Yeah.
So if we do like the council says, we option the top two and we find the appraisals on that, and then we look at the difference between what we can afford and what these guys are asking, then we can work on that with future appraisals. Is that correct?
Counselor Burkett has a question.
Councilor Burkett.
I just want to go back to some nuance that Councilor Murray asked about earlier. This is very different than what it says on the agenda, what we are doing. And so what we are doing now, where we are trying to go into options, contractual agreements with properties, does that need to be a resolution? Because on the agenda, it only says we're agreeing with the rankings, and it's not a resolution. And I think what we are doing now, if we do the option package, is resolution material.
Councilor Burkett, you are correct.
I have never heard those words before, and I'm going to play this recording as the ringtone of my phone.
They will be immortalized on YouTube forever, Counselor.
We'll put it in writing if you wish.
Mayor?
That the agenda is limited to ranking.
Okay. Mayor, could I ask a what if question? Could we have on the first meeting in January, a special meeting to approve the resolution to approve the option of the top two? Could we do that, say within 10 minutes or so of the work study?
So Melanie.
No, I don't think so, because we really need to have our organizational meeting first. Just from
You
how
can
I
do it-
understand
you
how
can do it in
things
the
work.
regular meeting that month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but we can put a resolution together to appear on the January 20th meeting.
Okay.
Sure.
So do you feel comfortable with allowing us to make a choice of properties? And then we can do the resolution?
No, there shouldn't be anything except accepting the ranking.
That's what I'm talking about, the ranking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just accepting the
I think
ranking.
we can do that.
Other action on the 20th of.
Because it says consideration as action and approval of the rankings of the properties.
Just the ranking.
So I'll amend my motion to be the simple language I started with.
Probably so.
Motion to approve the rankings
Which is what
of
you
the five
said,
properties
page
as submitted.
122, those rankings.
Yep.
And Counselor Murray, do you still second that amended?
You
motion?
betcha.
Okay.
Okay.
Real quick question, has nothing to do with changing anything.
We're not going to change anything. We're just doing rankings.
Do the individuals that get the how much their property's worth, are they gonna be told how much those properties are worth? When we're finished with this product?
Oh, the property owners?
Yes.
Yeah, they'll be very aware of that. Yeah,
Okay.
they'll be named as intended users for the appraisal, so they'll
Gotcha.
full access.
That's all I wanted to know.
When we have the appraisal,
When
then
you
we
have
can
the appraisal.
determine what percentage of their property we can pay, correct? Am I?
Yes, so the appraisal will value the development rights that
Yes.
they're selling to the village.
Yes.
And you get to decide how much of that you're gonna pay to them, whether it's 75 or 100%, whatever it is of that value of the development right.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Everybody okay with that? Melanie, you have that down?
I do.
Okay. Councilor Murray, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilor Alsterbrook?
Aye.
Councilor Knight?
Aye.
Councilor Woolman?
Aye.
Councilor Mira?
Yes, sir.
Councilor Burkett?
Aye.
Councilor, you don't look happy.
I am, well, it's an hour later where I'm sitting right now, so it's past my bedtime.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, well, we'll just run through the future agenda items real quick. So there'll be a swearing-in ceremony for newly elected officials on January 2nd, 2026 at 5 p.m. Special meeting to discuss possible changes to lot coverage ordinance on January 6th. Boy, that's an appropriate day. January 6th, 2026 at 6 o'clock. Organizational meeting for the village council, January 20th. That's going to be the regular meeting that month Uniform traffic ordinance changes, first reading, January 20th. Hopefully. Are they going to be there?
I think so.
Okay. And then approval of resolution for changes to the para plans for the police and fire department, fire employees to be determined. Anything else you guys can think of? It's late, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Looks like we've finished the business part of the meeting tonight. This meeting is adjourned. Thanks, sir. Told you you're going to talk too long.
That's awesome.
Here it is, almost 10 o'clock. It's 9:30.